The date was October 10th. The location, Konoha, the Hidden Leaf Village. It had been 9 years since the devastating attack by the fearsome nine-tailed fox. This monstrous entity, one of the legendary tailed beasts, possessed immense destructive power. With a single sweep of its tails, it could wipe out entire towns, crush mountains, and stir massive tidal waves. 9 years earlier, it had unleashed its wrath upon the village, leaving countless shinobi dead in its wake. During that same tragic day, the village's fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, and his wife, Kushina Uzumaki, welcomed their newborn son, Naruto Uzumaki. As the demon fox approached, Minato scrambled to devise a strategy to neutralize the threat. In the end, he saw only one option: seal the beast within his own son, sacrificing himself in the process. With a heavy heart, Minato took his infant from Kushina and headed for the battlefield. There, he summoned the Reaper to perform the sealing ritual, locking the beast inside Naruto at the cost of his own life. From that moment forward, Naruto became the vessel for the nine-tailed fox. Now, on the same date 9 years later, young Naruto was being hunted down by a furious mob. Their misguided hatred led them to believe the boy was the demon and sought to eliminate him, completing the task the fourth had started. Far above, in the heavens, a divine presence observed the events below with a frown. This being, known simply as the goddess, had seen the child endure more assassination attempts in his short life than all the first-generation Kage combined. Though she longed to intervene, it was not within her authority. She required permission from the one entity higher than herself. Contrary to popular belief, the goddess was not the supreme deity. There was one above her, the original creator of time, existence, and life itself. This prime deity granted authority to all lesser gods and intervened only under extraordinary circumstances. The goddess sighed again, heart heavy for the tormented boy. But fate, it seemed, was about to shift. "Divine One, the Supreme calls for your presence," spoke a soft voice. She turned to see one of the Creator's messengers bowing before her. "Inform him I'm on my way," she replied. The messenger nodded and vanished. Moments later, so did she. She materialized in a vast celestial hall adorned in radiant gold and white, with marble statues of gods and goddesses stationed along each towering pillar. "Step forward, Divine One. I wish to speak with you," echoed a commanding voice. She passed through immense doors and entered a chamber where a solitary figure sat on a throne forged from pure elemental essence. He was the supreme being, the one and only above her. "Yes, my lord," she responded. "Honestly, I keep telling you just call me Jin, or at least Jin-kun," he muttered with mild exasperation. The goddess smirked, knowing full well he disliked formalities. Jin, though timeless, appeared as a 16-year-old with deep brown hair and striking teal-gray eyes that seemed to stretch into infinity. When angered, they glowed with a unique blend of crimson and gold, an odd yet captivating combination. His skin bore a warm bronze hue, and while not overly muscular, he had the lean, athletic build of someone forged for combat. Despite his ancient nature, Jin preferred his youthful form, though even the goddess had to resist certain temptations around him. "All right, Jin-kun," she replied with a sigh full of mock defiance. "Anyway, I saw you were observing the mortal boy, Naruto Uzumaki." I can hardly fathom how much torment he's endured." "I'd give anything to ease that burden," she confessed. Jin nodded solemnly. "That's precisely why I summoned you. For the first time in eons, I intend to directly intervene on Earth." "You mean you're actually going to act?" she asked, stunned. Jin gave a firm nod. "I am. His suffering has lasted long enough. Despite everything, his heart remains uncorrupted. He's held onto hope, not because he's naive, but because he still cherishes the few bonds he has left. That kind of spirit might even be purer than my own." He rose from his seat. "Come, Divine One, we're going to change everything." And with that, both vanished in a radiant pillar of light. "Hokage-sama, it's Naruto Uzumaki. Please come with me, there's no time to explain." The Hokage's expression shifted to alarm, but he gave a curt nod and followed the woman at once. What greeted him was horrifying. A brown-haired teenager stood amidst a field of bodies, his sword dripping with blood, his clothes stained. The streets were littered with the corpses of civilians. Hiruzen's expression softened when he noticed Naruto asleep behind the teen, resting peacefully with a faint smile. The teen slowly turned to face him. "Are you the one in charge of this village?" the boy asked, his tone heavy with authority. There was something in his voice that made everyone present feel the instinct to kneel. Yes, that would be me. And you are? The teen closed his eyes briefly and flicked the blood from his weapon before sheathing it across his back. I won't speak my name in front of your ANBU. They've yet to earn that right. You have, but not them. Especially not the one known as Inu. The Hokage and the masked agents all stiffened in shock. Only this boy here, Naruto, and a few who have shown him kindness are worthy of my regard. The rest, they mean nothing to me. One of the masked shinobi, wearing a turtle-themed mask, suddenly yelled at him. Who do you think you are, speaking to us and the Hokage that way? We deserve answers. The boy turned, eyes flashing a terrifying mix of crimson and gold, causing everyone except the sleeping Naruto and the woman beside him to freeze in fear. Watch your tongue or I'll cut it from your mouth, he growled. Then his eyes returned to normal. Hokage-san, I need to speak with you privately. It's about the boy. Hiruzen nodded and signaled his ANBU to withdraw. The woman scooped Naruto into her arms and the four of them headed toward the Hokage tower. Hokage's office, now then. What did you wish to discuss? My name still cannot be revealed, the teen said suddenly. But we're alone now, Hiruzen replied with confusion. The teen stood, walking over to a far wall. Danzo, I know you're listening. Your end is near along with the fall of your secret branch. He ripped a seal from the wall, previously disguised to blend with the room. Then he removed 5 more hidden seals before sitting back down. How did you? For once, Hiruzen was truly speechless. There's little I don't know, Hiruzen Sarutobi. My name is Jinso. Thank you. And who is this woman? He gestured toward the silver-haired figure, cradling Naruto as though he were her own child. The boy nuzzled her chest with a content sigh. To you humans, she is known as the goddess. Hiruzen's eyes nearly popped from their sockets. GGG goddess, he shouted. Thank the heavens he had put up a silencing seal, or the whole village would have heard. Yep, that's me, she said cheerfully, thumbing toward Jinso. And he's my superior, Hiruzen nearly fainted. SS superior, he glanced between the two, utterly stunned. Indeed, I am what you'd call her elder or mentor. My name is Jinso and only those I permit may speak it aloud. Anyone else would burn alive. Jinso-sama here is the origin of time, creation, and life itself, she said proudly. Jinso nodded without a word. Now, let's return to the matter at hand, Naruto Uzumaki. Both the goddess and I have observed his life, and I must say, I am appalled by what he's endured. This child has suffered more than the damned souls of the underworld. He's earned both my respect and my sympathy. Forgive my boldness, Jinso-sama, but why are you telling me all of this? Jinso allowed a small smirk. Because I intend to give the boy a gift. A gift, not just any gift, something you would call a bloodline ability. A Kekkei Genkai, that and more. He will receive powers to aid him through life, but in return I ask something of you. Hiruzen made a mental note that he might need stronger tea. A divine being was asking him for a favor. I want you to restore balance in this village. You've allowed the civilian council far too much influence, if not for the few Naruto holds dear. Wow, Naruto-kun. You're a natural with a blade. Naruto's cheeks turned red at the compliment. Now, I have something even more special for you. He brought 2 fingers to his lips and let out a sharp whistle. In an instant, a blur of black darted in and pounced on Naruto, licking his face excitedly. It was a small fox cub one with 3 swishing tails. This little one is your new partner. She's a 3-tailed fox spirit and she's quite the mischief maker. But she doesn't have a name yet. Want to give her one? Naruto nodded eagerly, gently cradling the now sleeping fox in his arms. I'll name her Megumi. Cause, you know, this feels like a blessing you're giving me, big bro. Naruto grinned with a foxy smile, making the goddess squeal and tackle him in a hug with a high-pitched, too cute. She lovingly stroked the whisker marks on his cheeks, causing Naruto to purr contentedly. All right, Kami-chan, let's not squeeze him to death. I still have 2 more things to give him. With a reluctant pout, the goddess backed away, and Jinso knelt to meet Naruto at eye level. Naruto-kun, what do you understand about special bloodline abilities? The blonde tilted his head in thought, tapping his chin. Well, I know that Sasuke team has one, and people are always praising him for it. He always brags that nothing can beat the Sharingan and acts like he's better than everyone else. Honestly, I don't get the hype. All it does is give him some extra abilities, right? You're not entirely wrong. Bloodline powers do enhance one's abilities, but each one is unique. The Sharingan, for instance, lets Sasuke copy techniques by observing hand signs and gives him an edge in spotting illusions. He can even trap others in illusions just by locking eyes with them, Unless they have the same eyes, it's hard to break free. So, it does make him kinda elite. Not quite. Many people with inherited powers become prideful, and that arrogance can lead to mistakes. Sasuke's a special case, though. He used to be a kind boy before tragedy struck his family. The townsfolk and certain council members began idolizing him, feeding his ego until it got out of control. Now he believes he can't lose, and that others should follow his every word just because he's an Uchiha. Jinso looked away briefly before continuing. Now tell me, Naruto-kun, if I gave you a bloodline ability, do you think it would go to your head? Naruto shook his head rapidly. No way, Nick-san. I know I won't win every time, even with Rika-chan's energy inside me, or if I had a special ability. If I lose, it just means I need to train more. Jinso nodded with approval. That's exactly the mindset I hoped for, because I am going to give you one, but promise me, you won't let it make you arrogant. Naruto nodded seriously. Of course, big bro, so what does it do? Your new power will let you control shadows themselves. Like that lazy guy with the pineapple-shaped hair, Jinso chuckled. Sort of. The Nara clan uses their chakra to move shadows. Your bloodline, on the other hand, will embed shadow energy into your very cells. You'll be able to manipulate them naturally without relying on chakra. Once you learn to feel the presence of shadows and sync your energy with them, you'll be able to control any nearby shadows at will. From then on, it'll be second nature. That's awesome, Naruto shouted with excitement. This might sting a bit, but it'll be quick. Jinso tapped Naruto's forehead with 2 fingers, sending a surge of shadow energy into his body. Naruto tensed up from the sudden shock, but the pain faded just as quickly. And now, your final present. Jinso conjured a massive scroll from thin air. This is the dragon summoning contract. No one has signed it before. I've been saving it for someone with a heart as pure as mine. Now, prick your finger and sign your name in blood. Then leave a bloody handprint beside it. Naruto did exactly as instructed, and his name glowed faintly once he finished. When you summon the dragon boss, Bahamut, remember, do not show fear. Dragons are symbols of bravery. If you hesitate, he'll try to burn you to ash. Got it? Naruto nodded, his confidence tinged with a flicker of nerves. All right then, now that that's taken care of. Got the message yet? Most of the room sat in stunned silence. The teen hadn't even appeared to move, yet he had flawlessly executed a second Iaido-style strike. Still, one dim-witted civilian council member couldn't resist running his mouth. How dare you threaten this council? We could have you executed in the square. At that, Jinso burst into a wild fit of laughter, clearly ridiculing him. The only way that work is if I was actually part of this dump. This cesspool isn't my home, you brain-dead sack of donkey crap. The deity shot back with venom. And if any of you pathetic bottom feeders from the civilian council dare to threaten me, Naruto, or this woman over here. Jinso suddenly released a tidal wave of energy so overwhelming that several members of the civilian council lost all bodily control and collapsed. The only ones who remained conscious on their side were retired shinobi and a few civilians who had always supported Naruto. On the shinobi council side, most were struggling to breathe, as though the very air had turned against them. Even Hiruzen, once known as the professor, felt himself going dizzy. Jinso finally cut off the energy and faced the shinobi council calmly. Apologies. That wave of idiocy from the civilian council just got under my skin. The shock remained. He had generated that much pressure just from being annoyed. And before any of you wonder how I can unleash so much power while only irritated, well, let's just say if I ever got genuinely angry, half this village would be buried before I cooled off. He rubbed the back of his head and gave a sheepish grin. Thump, Inoichi hit the ground, unconscious. Then why not stay in the village? Shibai questioned, his voice steady despite the situation. If your concern for Naruto is genuine, wouldn't logic suggest staying near him for protection? Jinso gave him a sly grin. Who said I wasn't staying? I never claimed I was leaving either, now did I? He turned to Hiruzen. Lord Hokage, might I request a sparring match with a Jonin, just to assess my rank? Hiruzen nodded. Agreed. You and one of our Jonin will face off tomorrow morning. You're clearly beyond Genin or Chunin level. Jinso nodded in approval. Sounds good. Now if you'll excuse us, I could use some rest. With that, he, Kami, and Naruto exited the council room. Silence reigned for several minutes, until Shikaku muttered, "This is going to be a massive pain with the trio, so Naruto, want to stay at your place tonight? I can probably find us a home tomorrow." Naruto nodded. Yeah, I don't really have the cash for another apartment. Plus, people jack up the rent threefold whenever I try to move. Kami pulled Naruto a little closer as they passed through the village, glares aimed at Naruto and Jinso, while lewd stares followed Kami. Jinso casually cast a sealless illusion, so that onlookers only saw Mato Guy and Rock Lee strutting around in neon speedos. Screams of terror echoed around them, while Jinso chuckled with a devilish grin. The next morning Naruto woke up to the smell of cooking. Kami was at the stove, and Jinso was already at the table sipping his coffee. "Morning, kiddo. Sleep all right?" the god asked. "Yeah, Nay-san. Best sleep I've had in a while." "Good timing too, breakfast is ready," Kami sang as she served him a full plate of bacon, eggs, pancakes, and a glass of orange juice. Naruto devoured the meal, then glanced at the clock. "Oh no, I'm gonna be late for class," he panicked. Jinso folded his newspaper. "No worries, bro." He placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder and in a flash, warped him straight to the academy's front steps, startling nearby students and passers-by. "That was awesome, Neek-san," Naruto exclaimed. Jinso grinned but noticed the usual hostile stares aimed at the boy. "Remember, don't take crap from anyone. Show 'em what you're made of, short stack," Naruto glared. "Stop calling me short. I'll stop when you hit my height. Later." Jinso vanished in a blur, leaving Naruto to head inside. Naruto had recently ditched his old orange jumpsuit. Jinso had burned every piece of it, calling it a crime against fashion. His new outfit consisted of a white hakama with gold borders over a black kimono with silver trim. The kanji for fox was stitched into the back. On his back rested a ninjato, styled after the tanto Jinso had gifted him. His sandals matched those once worn by Jirya of the Sannin. "Hey, little bro, guess what? They decided that even though I'm practically Jounin level, they're keeping me as a chunin for experience." "Oh, and guess who's co-teaching your class with Mr. Tanaka?" "That's right, me. Pretty great, huh? Kind of dealing with something here, Aniki. I'm trying really hard not to flatten Saki Haruno because she said my mom was probably a streetwalker and I'm just some mistake." "One sec, kid. I'm making my entrance in 3.2.1. A brown blur flipped in through the classroom window and landed perfectly on the teacher's desk right as Mr. Tanaka walked in, nearly giving the scarred instructor a stroke. "Listen up, you gremlins. The name's Kenji Namikaze, older brother of Arashi Namikaze. You'll call me Kenji-sensei or Namikaze-sensei, got it? I've only got 3 rules, so burn 'em into your brains. Rule 1. I swear whenever the hell I feel like it and no one's stopping me. Rule 2. If you act out, I'll deal with you fast and painfully. Rule 3. Anyone messes with my little brother, they'll regret it. Got your notebooks ready?" "Because class is officially in session," Kenji bellowed. Mr. Tanaka slowly recovered from his panic and turned to the stunned class. "Well, looks like introductions are done. Now then," but he was cut off by a shrill voice from Saki. You threatened my mom yesterday," she shrieked, pointing accusingly at Kenji. "She was irritating. I responded. Move on. Now pay attention to Tanaka-sensei," he replied, his eye twitching slightly. Tanaka coughed awkwardly. "Thanks, Kenji-sensei. Now then, any questions before we begin?" Chobaya Kamaro raised his hand. "Yeah, how are you a teacher? You don't look old enough." Kenji nodded. "Valid question. You don't need to be old, just a certified chunin." Then Shikara Nari raised his hand. "You with the pineapple hair, go ahead. Follow up, how'd you even become a chunin?" Kenji chuckled darkly. "Let me show you." He faced the wall, gripping the hilt of his sword. The class fell into total silence. A burst of movement, a flash, and a second later, the blade clicked back into its sheath. Chunks of the wall slid off to reveal 4 words carved in deeply: "Field promotion, punk." Kenji turned back, smug. "That clear things up." Shikara just slumped on his desk, muttering about annoying blondes and their lunatic siblings. "All right, no more questions. Then let's dive in." Kenji grinned like a madman. Time skip 3 years later, it was finally time for team assignments. Over the 3 years, the academy students had grown stronger, learned a ton, and dealt with a lot of chaos. And now, Kenji was set to be promoted to Jounin at the end of the term. Skipping the graduation exam, Arashi obviously used Kage Bushin instead of the basic clone. No contest. Also, yes, all of the rookie 9 passed. "Okay, here come your teams." Arashi leaned forward on his desk, barely interested. Team 7, Arashi Namikaze, Sora Uchiha, and Hanabi Hyuga. Several fangirls screamed in frustration. "NOOO. Why her? That HYUGA tramp just WANTS to seduce Sora." Arashi turned his head and glared at the last girl who said that, casually resting a massive claymore, a gift from Kenji, against his shoulder. "Wanna repeat that, you busted-up pigeon?" he growled coldly. Ahem. All heads turned to the front where Kenji stood, hand to mouth dramatically. "Anyway, your team leader will be Hatake Kaio. Team 8. Kiba Inugami, Shino Iburashi, and Saki Haruno. I'm not a tramp, you jerk." "Sorry, had something in my throat," Kenji said with zero remorse. Arashi and Sora smirked knowingly from the back. "Your sensei will be Yuyuhi Kurina. Team 9 is unchanged from last year, so Team 10 is Inoka Yamanashi, Chobaya Kamaro, and Shikara Nari. Your sensei will be Saru Asama. Please remain in the room until your instructor arrives. Sensei, if you value your life, and more importantly, your manhood, you will never pull out that trashy book in front of Naruto again," Sasuke warned, his tone serious. The dark-haired teen stood and called out to Naruto. "It's fine now. He swore not to read that garbage near you again, all right." Naruto nodded and slipped his sword back into its sheath. The four regrouped near the rooftop's edge. "All right, time for intros. You first, Smut Slayer," Kakashi said, gesturing lazily at Naruto. "I'm Uzumaki Naruto. I like Hina-chan, my brother, ramen, Ayam-nichan, Anko-nichan, Pocky, Dango, and watching the clouds. I hate creeps, freaks." Naruto glanced sharply at Kakashi. "That filth you call literature, arrogant idiots, and people who hurt animals. Ramen is my top-tier food, it's basically addictive. As for my goals." "Hey wait, what the hell is that thing?" Naruto asked, pointing at a glowing, pulsating oval hanging in midair. "I have no clue," Kakashi muttered, scratching his head. Naruto started walking toward it. "Oi little bro, whatever you do, don't touch." But naturally, Naruto reached out and touched it right then, vanishing in a bright flash. Jinso appeared just moments later. "Damn it, he touched it, didn't he?" The brown-haired god sighed and looked at Kakashi. "We'll be back, eventually." And with that, Jinso leapt through the portal as it started to shrink. On the other side, Naruto and Jinso landed hard on a grassy clearing beneath a massive sakura tree. "Damn it, Naruto, when I say don't touch something, you don't touch it," Jinso shouted. Naruto stood up with a shrug. "Sorry. Curiosity always wins with me." Jinso gave a half-smile. "Yeah, I know." They took in the surroundings. "So, where exactly are we, big bro?" Naruto asked. Jinso noticed scrolls floating in the air, each flanked by two flames. He licked his finger and held it up, then pulled it back down with a dry expression. "Crap, what? We're inside a game." Naruto groaned and smacked his forehead. "Why do I always gravitate toward shiny glowing things?" Jinso's eyes narrowed as one of the scrolls floated toward them. "Back off, Naruto." "Huh, why? Those things hold powerful creatures. They'd rip you up, but they're child's play for me. Now move." Naruto jumped back as the scroll hit Jinso, who now faced three cackling blue goblins. "Well boys, looks like dinner found us tonight," one sneered. Jinso smirked and unsheathed his katana. "Sorry, but this dish is off the table." He disappeared and reappeared behind one goblin as it exploded in light. In a blur, he downed the second. Facing the last one, Jinso soared up and brought his sword down between its eyes. The barrier around them flickered and vanished. Strangely, Jinso heard a bark and a high-pitched voice. He turned to see none other than Akami Amaterasu dashing up with Isun riding her head. Suddenly, a voice cried out, "He doesn't look like the friendly type, Ami, be careful." Jinso calmly turned, blade at his side. Amaterasu lowered herself into a defensive stance as Isun added, "Let's teach him not to mess with the sun goddess." But Jinso simply flicked green blood from his blade and resheathed it. Ami and Isun looked puzzled. "He's not attacking," Isun muttered. Jinso crossed his arms. "It's safe now, Naruto, come on out." From behind a large rock, a blond boy with 6 whisker-like marks on his cheeks emerged. Jinso turned his gaze back to Amaterasu, studying her closely. "What's up, kid?" Isun asked. Jinso glanced at him. "Nothing's wrong, Isun." The pair stiffened instantly. How do you know my name?" the tiny swordsman exclaimed. Jinso folded his arms. "I know everything, grandson of Ishaku. Like how that pure white wolf you're standing on is the sun goddess Amaterasu, and how you're on a mission to collect the 13 brush techniques. Also, that a flamboyant Tao priest who butchers French and drives us both insane will show up in exactly 3.52 seconds. 3.52 seconds later. Hark! The divine call of the skies, the land, and the oceans. Ink deities. This time, Jinso decided to respond. The Ink deities are 13 divine beings, each tied to one of the zodiac signs. Each one governs a specific aspect of the natural world, and there are countless legends surrounding them. Long ago, they were once a single god, but when that god perished, its essence was split into 13 distinct deities. These ink deities can bestow their abilities upon those they deem worthy. Their powers range from elemental mastery to dominion over the skies themselves, Jinso explained. Amaterasu's gaze narrowed at his words. If you're not native to this land, how do you possess such deep knowledge of its gods? She questioned. I'd rather not explain. You might think I'm making it all up, Jinso admitted with a sigh. Oh, please. I'm a thumb-sized creature sitting on the back of a divine wolf. You really believe I'd dismiss what you say that easily? The Ponkel chuckled. You sure you want to tell them, Nick-san? Naruto asked. Jinso gave a firm nod. They shared their truth. It's only fair we share ours, he said, rising from where he sat. My name is Jinso. What I'm about to say may sound like it belongs in a fantasy book. I'm from a different universe altogether, one where I serve as the supreme deity, ruler over all that exists. I rarely intervene in that world's affairs unless there's no other choice. About 3 years ago, I made such a choice to aid my friend here. Jinso gestured to Naruto, inviting him to speak. You see, in my homeland, I'm something called a Jinchuriki, which roughly translates to sacrificial vessel. It's a cruel title for those of us who house demonic beings. My world is known as the Elemental Nations, and it's split into regions named after the elements. The 5 major ninja villages are Konoha, Iwagakure, Kumigakure, Sunagakure, and Kirigakure, each with 1 or 2 Jinchuriki among their ranks. There's also a smaller village, Takagakure, with one of its own. Before these villages came to be, a legendary sage known as the Rakudo Sennin became the first Jinchuriki. He sealed a monstrous entity, the 10 tails, inside himself. This beast was the original form of the tailed beasts, known as the Biju. When the sage neared death, he used the last of his strength to divide the 10 tails into 9 separate entities, each with their own tails and immense power. They became known as the tailed beasts. The 1 tail Ikibai, 2 tails Nibai, 3 tails Sanbai, 4 tails Yanbai, 5 tails Gobi, 6 tails Rokubai, 7 tails Nanabi, 8 tails Hachibai, and 9 tails Kyubai. Their strength increases with the number of tails, Ikibai being the weakest, Kyubai the strongest. Over the years, these creatures were sealed into humans to use them as living weapons, often against their will. People like me, Jinchuriki, were feared and hated in most of these villages, except for a few like Kumo, Kiri, and Taki. On the day of my birth, the Kyubai attacked Konoha. It had been manipulated into doing so by a masked man seeking revenge. My father, the village's leader, had no choice but to seal it within his newborn son. A baby's undeveloped chakra system could gradually adapt to the beast's energy. Rather than ask another parent to make that sacrifice, my father chose me, his own child. His final wish was for me to be hailed as a hero for keeping the Kyubai contained. But he underestimated the village's ignorance and cruelty. For 9 long years, I lived through isolation, hatred, and abuse. The villagers beat me, overcharged me for spoiled food and broken supplies, kept their children far from me, and openly called for my death, Naruto recounted, his fists tightening as he spoke. Isun was left speechless, while tears silently streamed from Amaterasu's eyes. I barely had anyone in my life until I was 6, when a kind couple who ran a ramen stand found me barely conscious in the snow. They nursed me back to health and were the first people, aside from a few officials, villagers, and elite guards known as the ANBU, who ever truly cared about me. You felt that too, didn't you? Jinso asked her. Indeed. There's a powerful surge of dark energy coming from the northern region, Amaterasu replied. Hold on, a sinister presence in Camui, Isun blurted out. It's oddly familiar, but I can't pinpoint it. Naruto rose to his feet. Then that's where we're headed, Databeo, he shouted. The group responded with cheers and sprinted toward the north. Camui, as they stepped out of the observatory, a ferocious blizzard greeted them, momentarily blinding everyone. BBBRRR, this is freezing, Isun yelped. We need to find shelter until the storm lets up, Naruto agreed. Then let's not waste time, Jinso concluded. Amaterasu led the group toward Oki's dwelling, only to find the warrior surrounded by dozens of menacing Namahage. Oki, Amaterasu cried out. Isun tried to stop her, but was flung aside. Jinso caught the small ponkel midair and handed him off to Naruto. Keep Isun safe until Amaterasu and I return, all right. Roger that, big bro, leave it to me, Naruto grinned. Jinso nodded approvingly and rushed toward the chaos. Amaterasu dove into the battle, tearing through the beasts with fury. Amaterasu, is that really you? Oki asked, disbelief in his voice. The one and only, she answered, slicing a Namahage in half with power slash. A shadow leapt along the cliffs above, bounding down until it landed beside Oki Jinso. Amaterasu stood firm next to him, the two forming a protective wall around their injured friend. So these are the freaks wrecking Camui? Jinso asked. Yes, they're called Namahage, Amaterasu responded. Then let's show 'em what we're made of, he declared, tossing his blade skyward and drawing two semi-auto pistols. As he shifted, his sword fell perfectly into its sheath. With a roar, Amaterasu charged the enemy. She took half the horde, Jinso took the rest. Amaterasu's battle. Amaterasu activated solar flare and charged forward. Within seconds, 6 enemies were down, knocked senseless by her reflector. Using Galestorm, she gathered demon fangs from the stunned foes. After vanquishing her share, she glanced toward Jinso's side of the battlefield. I think I'll keep an eye on Oki, she murmured. Jinso's battle. The warrior soared over the Namahage, raining bullets into their ranks. Heh, looks like I won't even need these, he chuckled, holstering his pistols. The Namahage took the chance to launch their wooden signs at him. With Oki and Amaterasu, Amaterasu helped Oki rise. His ankle was fractured, and his left arm was out of commission. Thanks, pant Amaterasu. If you and that young fighter hadn't shown up, I'd be toast, Oki admitted. It's no trouble just lending a hand to an old friend, she replied. Who is he anyway? Seems underdressed for this kind of weather, Oki asked. He'll manage. From what I've seen, he gasped. Jinso, Amaterasu gasped, spotting the Namahage hurling signs at him. Back with Jinso. Jinso smirked and raised his palm toward the incoming signs. Ever heard the saying? He quipped as the signs neared. What goes around? The signs froze midair before him. Then, with a blast of force from his palm, he sent them flying back, finishing the phrase. ... comes around. The signs slammed into their owners, sending them tumbling. Jinso lifted his hand, manifesting a glowing katana from pure energy. He gripped it, crouched, then vanished with a shockwave. The airborne Namahage froze and burst into a mist of blood. Jinso appeared behind them, splattered in pale green. He snapped his fingers, causing the blood to vanish from his pants. Then he dashed to Oki. You all right? Jinso asked, helping him stand. I'll survive. What's your name, warrior? Oki asked, turning slightly. Jinso, he answered. Well then, groan. Wait a sec, didn't it say something about the moon being darkened? Isn't that another way of saying lunar eclipse? Naruto asked. Jinso gave a nod. Normally, during a lunar eclipse, the moon can look blood red. But when a blue moon goes through one, its color can vary depending on where you're standing, the Chaconet explained. Good thing those kinds of eclipses only happen like 11 times every 1,000 years. Otherwise, we'd be totally screwed, Isun said with a grin. Suddenly, a monstrous roar thundered through the air, halting everyone mid-step. They turned toward the window in alarm. Something deep within Yashbit was spewing fire into the sky, while the blue moon eclipse cast an eerie glow over the land. Son of a bitch, Naruto bellowed. Why? Why did you have to type that in? Right when he finished talking, you absolute dick, I hate you, whoever's writing this, you're the biggest asshole in the multiverse. Can I not get a damn break? He screamed at the sky. Jinso clamped a firm hand on his shoulder. Naruto, as much as I'd like to punch the real version of me in the face, we're not breaking the fourth wall just yet, Jinso said calmly. Isun snickered. Bit late for that, don't you think? Kid needs to chill out, the Ponkel said. I concur, the child must learn control. Letting anger dominate him will only cause future hardship, Amaterasu added. Unfortunately, we've got no time to argue with my author self, because the type stream is demanding we go face the dragon, Jinso said solemnly. The what now? Naruto asked with a raised brow. You've seen the Matrix, right? Yeah, the type stream is basically the writer's own Matrix, only with upgrades. What kind of upgrades? He can force you to do things. Just then, a strong wind swept through and a voice echoed on the breeze. That's right, Whisker Boy. Now haul your ass over there and slay that dragon, or I swear I'll kill you off and hand your whole harem over to Rock Lee. You wouldn't dare, Naruto cried in terror. Try me, bitch. Now move your damn feet. The wind vanished and the voice faded. Welp, we better get moving, Jinso said, breaking the silence. At the spirit gate, when the group reached the clearing, Jinso scanned the area. The fire that had been unleashed into the sky had scorched much of the forest. Looks like the dragon hasn't climbed out yet, so we've got a bit of breathing room, Isun observed, glancing around. Keyword, yet, Jinso muttered. So Naruto, you didn't bring Megumi, did you? The Chaconet asked. Nah, I left her with Oki to keep her out of harm's way, the blonde responded. Smart move. Now let's tread carefully. None of us know what kind of terrain we're dealing with, so step carefully and make sure. Naruto Naruto shouted out of nowhere, charging recklessly down the trail. Damn it, Naruto, that motto does not apply to you. Jinso shouted, sprinting after him with Amaterasu and Isun close behind. At the dragon's den, the others arrived just in time to see Naruto dodging a torrent of flames. They followed the fiery stream to its origin and spotted it shooting from a curved tunnel in the ground. What the hell? That shouldn't even be physically possible, Naruto shouted, evading another fireball. Hey, you overgrown lizard. Get your scaly ass out here and fight me, he yelled, shaking his fist. The ground trembled as a monstrous roar erupted from the hole. Congrats, I think you pissed it off, Isun shouted. BGM. Gundam Zero OST 2, Track 29. Counterattack. The ground around the hole began to heave, and Jinso shouted, everyone down. All four of them dove for cover just as the earth exploded in a storm of purple-black fire. Burning ash twisted through the air, setting trees ablaze. Flaming debris rained down from above. From the inferno, a silhouette began to rise, taller than even the tallest peaks of Ezafuji. As it fully emerged, moonlight washed over its form. The beast was clad in radiant gold scales, glistening in the moonlight. Its piercing silver eyes glowed like beacons. Two slick, obsidian-black horns spiraled proudly atop its massive skull. Why yes, ma'am, Jinso looked at Amaterasu, cheeks flushing red. Stunning, he muttered shyly. Amaterasu glanced around, noting the various reactions. The one that caught her eye most was Jinso's, especially when she caught his comment about her. He thinks I'm stunning. For some reason, Amaterasu's heart fluttered at Jinso's words. Naruto, snapping out of his daze, noticed Jinso's expression and burst out laughing. Nigsan's smitten, the blonde teased in a sing-song tone. Jinso's face reddened as he wrapped Naruto in a headlock. Shut up, you annoying brat, the chocolate-haired boy growled, squeezing Naruto's neck with his elbow. Amaterasu giggled, her cheeks tinting pink at their playful scuffle. All right, Jin, let the brat go. We still need to discuss why you're here in Camui, Ryu reminded him. Fine, Jinso snarled, shoving Naruto face first into the snow. When we get home, I'm tripling your training, and you're paying the bills for the next 2 months. The chocolate-haired boy warned, using his usual scolding tone whenever Naruto pissed him off. Why me? Naruto muttered weakly. Because you mocked a god and added fuel to the dumb blonde stereotype, Rika huffed, folding her arms beneath her ample chest. Now then, Jin. What brings you to Camui anyway? Ryu asked. Earlier today, some unknown idiot here messed with time and space. Because of that, the blonde I just headlocked accidentally slipped through a portal, so I had to chase him down. But thanks to that same idiot, I can't get us back. That's why we're stuck here. I sensed a surge of evil energy and a faint signature, but the blizzard's too strong now. There's too much life force in the air. Can you help us find it? I can try tracking the energy, but you'll need to hunt down whoever's causing this. No problem. All right then. Ryu's eyes glowed green briefly before returning to normal. The energy's about a mile outside the village near the mountains. Head there, you'll probably find the culprit. Thanks, Ryu. Don't mention it, Jin. Now get out of here, I want to sleep. With that, the group hurried toward Oki's house to retrieve Megumi before starting their trek to Wepkir. 5 minutes later, the four reached the top of the hill, near the Ezafuji Mountains outside Wepkir. Who thought it was smart to make paths out of snow? Naruto complained, gesturing toward the village behind them. Don't know, don't care. Stop whining and move, Jinso replied sharply. 5 more minutes past the group arrived at Leachi Lake amidst Naruto's continued grumbling about the odd setup. Where the Ark of Yamato was once frozen in place before Amaterasu and Waka boarded it. The ice had melted since, leaving just a normal lake. So, where the hell's this thing messing with your powers, Nig-san? Naruto asked. Ryu said it's supposed to be right here, Jinso answered, standing by the lake's edge. But all I see is water, Isun remarked. Exactly, if there's water then. Jinso facepalmed. What? We need to go under the lake. I sense a large structure beneath the surface. You're serious? Isun exclaimed. Do I look like I'm joking? Jinso replied. Can I have a moment? Naruto suddenly interrupted. Jinso nodded. Naruto scurried behind a rock and shouted in frustration. Damn YOU, Why the hell did you have to create that damn water temple? MORPHA was bullshit too. The physics were all wrong, Naruto yelled, his voice shaking the ground. Anyone who played The Legend of Zelda. Ocarina of Time knows what I mean. Naruto returned to the group with Amaterasu and Isun looking confused. Sorry about that, I'll explain later, the whiskered blonde said quickly. Alright, here's the plan. I'll create an air bubble around us to keep us warm underwater, but due to my limited power, I can only maintain it for about 2 hours. If we don't find breathable air inside the building within that time, we'll drown or freeze, Jinso explained. Here's the problem. It takes about half an hour to sink down, plus adjusting to the altered physics means we effectively only have about 5 minutes of air, Isun said seriously. Then he looked confused as Jinso smirked. What? Something on my face? Isun asked. Nothing, just, I never said we had to sink. Teleportation's how we're getting down, Jinso said with a grin. His expression quickly grew serious. Pair up. I can't teleport all of you individually, so grab a partner and hold tight. Amaterasu latched onto Jinso, and Isun jumped into Naruto's wild hair. Jinso blushed as his arm brushed Amaterasu's chest but composed himself. He gripped her tightly and snapped his fingers. A ball of light enveloped them, lifting and then descending into the lake's icy depths. Back at Konoha, Hokage's office. Let me get this straight, Kakashi, Hiruzen began. Your team got caught in a deadly trap, then you went to the academy roof. After some interaction with your team, you started introductions, but before that, you pulled out your Ika Ika book. Naruto got pissed, tried to destroy the book, and maybe you too. Right so far? Kakashi nodded. Then introductions started. When it was Naruto's turn, he didn't finish because he saw a glowing ellipse on the other side of the roof. None of you knew what it was, so he approached it, touched it, and got sucked inside. Then a brown-haired teen with a golden katana appeared, cursed, and told you both they'd return sometime, right? Kakashi nodded again. Then the teen dove into the ellipse as it closed, leaving you confused. Yes, Hokage-sama. Hiruzen leaned on his desk, rubbing his temples. When they first stepped inside the dungeon, 4 braziers stood in a vacant chamber with a locked door at the far end. So what, we need to light these flames or something? That sounds easy, Isun said confidently. Did you forget? We're underwater. Fire won't burn here, Naruto responded. I knew that, Isun shot back. Then why did you say lighting them would be simple? Exactly. All right, then we'll have to try the next best thing, Jinso said cheerfully, steering the conversation away. Which is? Naruto asked, turning to his older brother figure to find Jinso kneeling with a glowing palm and a mischievous grin. Cover your ears, everyone. A blue beam as large as Jinso's crouched figure shot out from his glowing hand, smashing the door to pieces. But the beam kept going, tearing through the dungeon walls. Boom boom boom, holes formed continuously through the walls, creating a shortcut. Jinso stood up and dusted his hands off proudly. Why would you do that? That laser basically screamed, Hey monsters, we're here, Isun shouted at him. Jinso turned to Isun with a suddenly serious expression, causing him to hesitate. I hate water dungeons. Now let's hurry and get out of here. Without further orders, the group dashed through the shortcut Jinso created. As they pushed deeper, they had to dodge flying shamisen, drums, axes, swords, flutes, and even undead fish. Lovely reception, Naruto muttered with an eye roll, swatting away yet another undead fish. No kidding, Jinso agreed, then suddenly looked up sharply. Everyone jump. With the warning, Amaterasu and Naruto leapt just in time to avoid bamboo spikes drifting through the water. Damn water physics in this game, Jinso thought bitterly. Thanks for the heads up, big bro. You're welcome. Keep moving, the 4 hurried, racing against time through the blasted holes. Eventually, they reached a giant chamber with an enormous pit in the middle. The moment they entered, the doors behind and ahead locked tight. What the hell? Why are the doors locked? Naruto asked cautiously. Suddenly, the floor trembled as clear tentacles erupted from it, one sporting a visible eyeball. Looks like something straight out of Twilight Princess, Jinso mused silently. The tentacles attacked the closest member, the only female in the group. Great. Not only Twilight Princess references, but also fuel for pervy fanfiction writers. Just what I needed. Weird smut about my Akami-chan. Wait, my Akami-chan. Jinso's thoughts broke when a scream pierced the air. One clear tentacle wrapped around Amaterasu, and oddly enough, it resembled a certain male appendage. Real world, the wildly eccentric author returned to his desk with a pack of Pocky and a classic Pepsi bottle. None of those new plastic caps, but the old-school pop tops when he heard keyboard clacking. Entering his room, Jinso Kitsyun-kun caught a stranger typing part of his story. "Hey, who the hell are you?" the author shouted. The stranger, caught red-handed, jumped out the window and fell to his demise like a noob. Great. Now not only do I have to fix the mess this sicko made, but I'm probably getting questioned by the cops over a dead body. Jinso slumped into his comfy chair with a sigh, setting down his Pocky and soda. Cracking his knuckles, he got to work fixing the story. One problem at a damn time, he muttered as he corrected the errors. Dogverse suddenly, everything froze as the tentacle monster scene disappeared, and the four appeared outside the locked room, though none of them realized it yet. They cautiously entered, and Naruto immediately started sweating hard at the sight ahead. Muhahaha, I'm like a kid in a candy store right now, so many annoying setbacks to throw in and so little time. Everywhere the blonde looked, he saw the dreaded sight every gamer hates. The infamous water physics puzzle, the bane of all gamers. F.U. Real world, that's right, Blondie, don't question the author. The delightfully unhinged author cackled, projecting his voice into the story itself. Jinso relaxed with a happy sigh, opening his Pepsi. It's good to be the author. Doeg-verse, UUUCK, Naruto screamed. The author's voice echoed around the room. That's right, Blondie, don't question the author, it said. Jinso paled at the reply. Naruto, he said quietly, did you really question the author? Yeah, so, Jinso facepalmed as sweat rolled down his forehead. You don't get it, Naruto. I'm just the author's in-story avatar with maybe 10% of his power. He can make you fall on spikes and die a stupid death with a snap of his fingers. He could even force me to kill you mercilessly, and I'd have no choice. Naruto and the others paled at that thought. The author's the strongest being in this story. He can do literally anything and get away with it. Questioning him can get you killed in an instant. The Choconet exclaimed nervously. Suddenly, another figure materialized beside Jinso. He's right, you know. The figure grinned sadistically. He looked almost like Jinso, but with blood red and black streaks in his chocolate hair, red slit pupils, golden sclera, black and red fox ears on his head, and 10 black and red fox tails behind him. A sharp fang peeked from his lip. Who or why? Naruto was cut off as Jinso grabbed him, covering his mouth. Naruto, that's the author. Be careful what you say to him or you will die. Jinso said boredly. Listen, kid. I may have frustrated you with this water puzzle, but you haven't seen even a fraction of what I'm capable of. The author said. I put effort into making this story work, and I'm already dealing with crap outside it. It won't help anyone if you question the story's reality. Now I'm going to let. An eerie laugh echoed around the chamber. I'm totally messing with you all. The puzzle's just a trick. But hey, you might still want to search for hidden secrets. Cough, cough. Everyone gave a nervous sweat drop at the author's awkward attempt to hide the secret. Without hesitation, Jinso moved to the far right wall and pressed his hand against the stone. He immediately felt intense heat coming from a focused point. Rasu-chan, could you cherry bomb this spot right here? Amaterasu nodded swiftly and conjured a cherry bomb. The wall blew up, revealing a shadowy corridor beyond. Shall we? The group hurried into the dark passage, eyes searching for any light. Soon enough, they found a door with a blinding glow pouring from behind it. Jinso kicked it open and they all rushed inside. The entire room gleamed with gold. Golden statues, gold coins, gold weapons, even golden food. Whoa, Jinso muttered, impressed. Then his eyes narrowed suspiciously. Something's off. Why would there be a random chamber full of treasure in a water dungeon at the bottom of a lake? He whispered. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind them, making Jinso uneasy. Looking up, he spotted Naruto reaching for a treasure chest that gleamed brighter than the others. The Choconet gasped in alarm. Naruto, don't. But it was too late. A sickly green hand with an eye in its palm shot out from the chest, making Naruto jump back. 7 more chests did the same, surrounding them. Shit, I remember these. They're called mimics. We ran into some on a sunken ship during our first adventure. Isun informed them. Great, so how do we take them down? Naruto asked with an eye roll. Hearing a mechanical whir, Naruto turned to see Jinso puffing his cheeks. Nixan. I'm MAFIRIN-MAHLAZOR. Jinso yelled, his eyes bulging and mouth stretching. BLAH. A blue laser shot from Jinso's mouth, vaporizing 3 mimics instantly. Note from author, thought you were done with the lasers. Hell no, they're still going strong. Dr. OCTAGUNAPUS no JUTSU. Everyone ducked as Jinso sprouted mechanical tentacles, rose on them, and spun wildly while firing a blue beam from his mouth. The deadly blue ring blasted the rest of the mimics into nothing. When finished, the tentacles retracted back into Jinso's back, and he collapsed beside Naruto. Don't ask. Suddenly, 8 ordinary treasure chests appeared where the mimics had been, and the door clicked unlocked. It looks like this was some kind of trial room. Oh well, to the victor goes the spoils. Jinso shrugged as he opened each chest, inspecting the contents. His face fell. Jewelry, shrugging again, he stowed the trinkets and turned to his team. Let's move, these are just junk, he lied. I'm not even gonna ask questions this time. Sometimes better to just go with the flow than fight it, Naruto muttered thoughtfully. Damn straight, let's keep going. 40 minutes later they finally reached a narrow corridor leading to a massive door, where they paused to catch their breath. Alright guys, I think we're close. We've got about half an hour of air left, give or take, Jinso informed them. At least we get to kick the ass of whoever caused all this, Naruto said. Jinso nodded. Something powerful lies beyond this door, probably the source of all the disturbances. You ready? Jinso asked the group. Always, Nick-san, Naruto replied. I'm in if you are, Amaterasu said cheerfully. Why not? Isun shrugged. Alright then, we don't know what to expect, so stay alert. Only 30 minutes of air left, so make it count. Let's go. Jinso blasted the huge door open, and they stepped inside. The room had 2 platforms in the center, spotlights from above, and bleachers behind each one. So someone's finally come to face me, excellent. A hissing voice echoed through the room. Show yourself, Jinso commanded. Ah, such bravery. Your power is like a feast meant only for kings. Very well, behold who you've challenged. From the shadows stepped a figure. Pale red skin, 2 horns sprouting from his head. Leather jacket, denim jeans stopping above black hooves, dark glasses hid his eyes. Welcome to my domain, call me Lucifer, the devil of rock. Rock? Naruto asked, confused. I know you've come to end the distortions of time and space, then prove yourself in battle, Naruto smirked. Bring it on, jerk, I'm not scared of you. The blonde pulled out a tanto. Ah, but I meant not a battle of strength. No, I seek a battle of music, Lucifer said. With a burst of hellfire, an electric guitar appeared in his hands. Mostly black, maroon skulls etched on it, the head shaped like a glowing red-eyed ivory skull. Jinso grinned. Now then, who will face me? Jinso stepped forward, still smirking. I will, the Chaconet declared. Naruto blinked in surprise. I'm the only one here who actually knows how to do this, so deal with it. You're good in fights anyway, Jinso told Naruto, then turned back to Lucifer. Ah, the bold one, bravery is admirable, but it can only carry you so far, Lucifer said. Jinso climbed onto the platform opposite Lucifer. A black electric guitar with golden flames appeared in his hands, the neck white with gold outlines and strings, the head white with Jinso's name engraved in gold. Both strapped on guitars, and the platforms rose. The others took their seats in the bleachers. Jinso's side had only the group's 3 others, Lucifer's was filled with undead skeletons cheering wildly. Do you think you can beat the devil of rock? Lucifer challenged. Jinso's smirk grew wider. You might be the devil of rock, but I am its god, bring it on, Jinso replied. Alright then, let's start the show. Lucifer plucked a loud chord with a pick. The skeletons roared approval. Lucifer grinned, and signaled Jinso to begin. Jinso strummed a single note, the skeletons laughed and jeered. Then, he repeated the note and followed with another and another and another, soon playing the most fierce guitar duel Lucifer had ever witnessed. Ha! Like I'm going to quit before my afterlife gets a real challenge from you. Keep at it, and we'll see what unfolds. Lucifer shouted back. Then bring it on. That's when the music kicked in and Lucifer started to sing. The devil went down to Georgia, searching for a soul to claim. He was in a pinch because he was way behind, and he was ready to make a deal. He spotted a young man, fiddling fast and fierce. The devil leapt onto a hickory stump and said, Boy, let me tell you this. The 2 guitarists launched into a wild instrumental duel, their fingers flying like lightning across the strings. Everyone watching was stunned by the speed and precision of their playing. You probably didn't realize, but I'm a fiddle player too. Lucifer locked eyes with Jinso as his voice rang out, their strumming echoing throughout the dungeon. If you're up for a challenge, I'll bet with you. You play a fine fiddle, boy, but give the devil his due. I wager a fiddle of gold against your soul 'cause I believe I'm better than you. Jinso then began to sing. The boy said, my name's Johnny and maybe it's a sin, but I'll take your bet, you'll regret it, 'cause I'm the best there's ever been. Lucifer joined Jinso as their riffs and strums grew louder. Johnny, rosin up your bow and play that fiddle hard. 'Cause hell's breaking loose in Georgia and the devil's dealing hard. If you win, you get this golden fiddle. If you lose, the devil takes your soul. They dove into another instrumental jam until the next verse when Lucifer sang again. The devil opened his case and said, let me start this show. Flames shot from his fingertips as he rosined his bow, his fingers igniting as he played. He dragged the bow across the strings, making a wicked hiss. Then a band of demons joined in, and the sound was something fierce. Once again, Jinso and Lucifer entered an intense instrumental section, rocking the whole place with their powerful playing. Amps cranked up the volume so everyone could hear. Amazing, how do they keep going so flawlessly without breaking a sweat? Amaterasu asked in awe. Even though I've lived with Nixan for years, I barely know much about him. He never talked about rock music or how insane it is. Naruto cheered, pumped for Jinso. Even the boy who calls him brother knows little about him. Now I'm even more intrigued, Amaterasu thought, feeling drawn more deeply to the Chaconet. What started as a simple crush turned into admiration for his greatest qualities. The problem with gods and love is that if one falls for a mortal, they can never truly be together. A god is eternal, but humans aren't. That's why gods often hide their feelings. Those bottled-up emotions cause many disasters humans call natural. Tornadoes, hurricanes, blizzards, all just the god's eternal pain surfacing. And even as a goddess, Amaterasu was still a woman, curious to learn more about the man she admired. I'm a guy, but I live with 3 women, 2 on their periods, and 1 just starting hers. Trust me, I know how this works. Suddenly, Amaterasu snapped her gaze from Lucifer to Jinso as the god of rock began to sing. When the devil finished, Johnny said, well, you're a pretty good son. But sit right there and I'll show you how it's done. Fire on the mountain, boys, run. The devil's in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the bread pan picking out dough. Granny, does your dog bite? No, child, no. They launched into another instrumental, this time pushing all their power to outdo each other. White and red auras burst around both players, clashing in a battle of wills. The building shook from their energy, but their playing stayed flawless. You do realize I'm going to beat you, right? Jinso asked, their auras still locked in combat. Oh really, and how do you know that's going to happen? Lucifer shot back. Jinso smirked, eyes gleaming mischievously. Haven't you ever heard how this song ends? That was all Lucifer got in reply. Finally, after minutes of fierce playing, Jinso's white aura overwhelmed Lucifer's, and the devil of rock bowed his head as Jinso sang the final lines. The devil bowed his head because he knew he was beaten. He laid the golden fiddle down at Johnny's feet. Johnny said, devil, come back anytime if you want another round. To rub it in, Jinso gave him the 1-finger salute while playing every damn note perfectly with 1 hand. Side note, I can play guitar really well with just 1 hand too. Don't believe me, ask my family. I told you once, you son of a bitch, I'm the best there ever was. And he played Fire on the Mountain, boys, run. The devil's in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the bread pan, picking out dough. Granny, does your dog bite? No, child, no. Jinso ended the song with the final riffs and then nailed Lu's Guitar Hero 3 finisher. The last chord blasted Lucifer back with a surge of energy, shattering the devil of rock's form and ending the musical duel. BGM off, that's how you get things done, Jinso declared. His 3 companions cheered as the skeletons lost control without Lucifer's grip. Well, since we've got about 3 minutes of air left, let's head back to land and get out of here, Naruto, Jinso said. Hell yeah, finally, ramen, maybe 20 bowls. The blonde grinned. Jinso smirked and snapped his fingers, they were back on solid ground. Another snap made Megumi appear in Naruto's arms. Once the light settled and Jinso shattered the air bubble, the 2 from Konoha and the 2 from Nippon faced each other. Well, I guess this is goodbye, we're off now, you two. Hope we meet again someday, Jinso said, waving goodbye with Naruto. A quick snap from the Chaconet opened a portal like the one they arrived through. See ya, just as they stepped through, a shout stopped them. Wait, they turned to see Amaterasu approaching. I want to come with you, she said softly. W what? Isun shouted, hopping through the snow to catch up. But Ami, your duties in the celestial realm, the Ponkel protested, trying to persuade her to stay. I'm sorry, Isun, but all right then. Good luck with your new journey, Furball. Even though I truly wish you would stay, it's your choice to carve your own path in life. The little Ponkel gave his companion one final smile. Just do me a favor, Ami. Anything, Isun. Promise me you'll give those villagers a hard time, okay? Got it, Isun. See you around. With that, the three stepped back through the portal and returned to Konoha, leaving Isun alone in the snow. Well, I can't keep dwelling on the past, but with how Yamagami and the other brush gods will react, I'm not sure I'm ready to face the future either. Heh heh. Isun chuckled bitterly as he headed back to Pongton to speak with his grandfather. Back in Konoha, on the academy roof another portal opened, and three figures stumbled out, kicking up a cloud of dust. The sudden surge of power quickly alerted the ANBU and Hokage. What they witnessed was quite peculiar. Naruto lay face down in the dirt, his rear end sticking up awkwardly, while Amaterasu had collapsed on top of Jinso. The two were now in an awkward tangle, both blushing and locked in each other's gaze. Her eyes are like molten gold, Jinso mused quietly. His eyes, they shift colors constantly, never staying the same. It's as if he holds the entire ocean within them. Amaterasu thought, cheeks flushed as their eyes remained locked. Ohio Jiji, what's going on? That voice somehow snapped them out of their trance, and they became aware of the group watching them, the Hokage, several ANBU, and even Naruto. Their faces instantly turned bright red. Not much really, Naruto-kun. Though I have been busy keeping the council from finding out about your portal escape and dealing with other issues, the elderly Hokage replied, smirking at Jinso's awkwardness. Jiji, you have no idea. Naruto deadpanned suddenly, putting Hiruzen and some ANBU on alert. The surrogate grandfather glanced at Jinso for an explanation, now that Amaterasu and the Choconet were standing. I'd prefer not to discuss this here, Hokage-san. Could we speak in your office? Jinso requested. Hiruzen nodded, and the four moved to the office. As soon as Hiruzen sat, Jinso recounted everything, from their journey through the portal to their return. Hiruzen let out a long, impressed whistle. That is quite the tale, Jinso-sama. However, I will have to inform the council since the chakra and energy from that portal likely alarmed them and disrupted their power, so expect complaints as usual, the third Hokage said, rolling his eyes. Jinso watched the tired old man carefully. What was once a proud shinobi was now a weary elder longing for a peaceful night with his family. Hiruzen, I want to make you a deal, Jinso said seriously. Try saying that 5 times fast. And what sort of deal is that, Jinso-sama? Hold on, Hiruzen, I have some questions before I make my offer. Go ahead. First, if you were 30 years younger, in your prime, how would you handle the civilian council? Odd question, but I'd be yelling at them to get their heads out of the clouds and know their place. Second, have you had any seizures in the past year? The question caught Hiruzen off guard. No, I haven't. Last, if you could have anything in the world, money, fame, women, whatever, what would it be? Hiruzen sighed, pondering. One night to spend with my family, away from paperwork and the council's whining. His voice held conviction. Jinso smirked, and the Hokage wondered if a prank was coming. That's a wise answer, Hiruzen. For that, I want to offer you something. What do you mean? You said if you were in your prime, you'd put the council in their place. The seizure question was medical, but your last answer, that night with your family, that's what I wanted to hear. How so? Hiruzen asked, raising an eyebrow. Jinso stood and approached the desk. It's time for the Kami no Shinobi to return. Jinso pressed his middle and index fingers to Hiruzen's forehead. Slowly, his gray hair darkened and grew vibrant. Wrinkles and liver spots vanished. Muscles regained strength. His hunched posture straightened into a proud warrior's stance. His tired eyes sparked with the will of fire. Even his voice changed. What did you do? Hiruzen touched his face in disbelief. I reversed time for your body. You're now 40 years old again, Jinso declared proudly. The rejuvenated Hokage grabbed a mirror, no dark circles or wrinkles remained. It's true. I'm back in my prime, Hiruzen exclaimed happily. Remember, this gift is serious. If misused, Konoha faces grave danger. You must control that mockery of a council or things will go badly. Also, don't reveal your youth. Because A, I don't want everyone bothering me to become young, and B, the council will try to control me with that CRA nonsense if they learn I control time. Jinso warned gravely. I won't take this lightly, Jinso-sama. It's time I explain to the council why this is a military dictatorship, Hiruzen said with a sly grin. Great, but I need some rest. Send an ANBU if you need me, Jinso said, waving goodbye as he left with Amaterasu, but not Naruto. The blonde tried to leave, but Hiruzen stopped him. Naruto-kun, I need to call your team and sensei so they know you're okay. Can you wait here until they arrive? That's fine, Jiji. Besides, I want to see Hinataheim again after being sent to another universe. I'm impressed, Naruto. Barely an hour since you got back, and you're already making me proud. The one-eyed Jonin said, brushing a mock tear from his single visible eye. Both Hinata and Naruto froze at that comment before Hinata suddenly fainted, still draped over Naruto. And if things couldn't get any more chaotic, an ANBU appeared inside the room with a message for Hiruzen. The council is summoning a meeting, Hokage-sama. They want you, Naruto-kun, and his older brother present, along with a white-haired woman who's been seen with those two. The ANBU with the cat-like mask whispered. Thanks, Nico, I'll get Naruto ready. With a nod, Nico vanished in a shunshin to deliver the same news to Jinso. Hiruzen crouched down to Naruto's level and gently lifted Hinata off him. Naruto-kun, I need you to come with me to the council meeting, okay? Naruto nodded without hesitation and followed the young Hokage, as Sasuke and Kakashi escorted Hinata back to her clan compound. Naruto and Jinso's apartment, what is it? Jinso asked, annoyed, as the cat-masked ANBU knocked on his door. He was dressed casually in a white tank top, loose jeans and sneakers, with a gold clock-shaped pendant around his neck. His spiky, dark brown hair was streaked with a few silver strands. Beyond the door, Nico saw two women sitting on a black leather couch, one with snow-white hair, the other silver-haired. The white-haired woman wore a sky-blue top trimmed with silver and tight leather pants. High-heeled shinobi sandals adorned her feet, and she wore silver and gold-braced wrists. The silver-haired woman was clad entirely in black leather, including sleek black stilettos with silver accents and two midnight blue teardrop earrings. Even Nico, a female ANBU herself, felt a bit drawn to her. No homo. Just so you know, the one in blue is Amaterasu, and the one in leather is Kami. I decided to put a spin on her usual image. Looks like the Purity Queen has a darker side, muahaha. You're requested at the council chambers for a meeting, and you must bring the white-haired woman with you, Nico said. Jinso shut his eyes, muttering about ancient fools who should be 6 feet under, and slowly administering a fiery, rusty spork enema with serrated edges. Not wanting to hear more, Nico turned to leave, but paused to offer one last comment before Jinso closed the door. Hey Shakura-san, Chocolate-san. Yeah, what's up, Jinso replied. If Naruto-san wants to prank most of the civilian council, I'm happy to help. Jinso smirked. I'll tell him, sayonara Yugo-san. With that, the door shut. Amaterasu hid her ears and tail to avoid alarming the civilians, who might react wildly and call her a demon. She changed into a loose kimono that showed modest cleavage with a seductive slit on the right side. A golden wolf's head clip adorned her hair, giving off a look but don't touch vibe. Ready, Rasu-chan? Jinso asked, offering his hand. I don't know, are you, Jinkoi? Amaterasu purred softly into his ear, her voice sending chills down his spine. It had been ages since Jinso felt that warm comfort from her, something that made him feel at home. Pushing those feelings aside for now, Jinso and Amaterasu headed for the council hall. He kept Amaterasu close as lechers stared at the goddess by his side. A glare and a blast of Ki swiftly sent them packing. At the council doors, Jinso pulled out a sealing scroll and kicked them off their hinges, sending the doors flying above the heads of the stunned council members. When some weak attempts of Ki were aimed at him, Jinso just shrugged with a wild grin. Guess I missed. Need to work on my aim. He then unsealed a small 3-person couch. Naruto, who had arrived with Hiruzen, quickly sat next to Amaterasu. Jinso settled in, wrapping an arm around her waist. From the council's view, Jinso would be on the left, Amaterasu in the middle, Naruto on the right, and vice versa. Jinso poured a glass of wine, savoring a sip before speaking. This is a little quirk of mine. I'm a bit of a wine enthusiast. I don't get drunk, but I love sampling different kinds. So, why has the almighty council of Konoha dragged me and my little brother here this time? I'm dying to know why I can't have a single moment of peace after hopping through multiple dimensions in one day, Jinso said with sarcasm. You're here because of that strange ellipse that lets someone teleport anywhere instantly, said Shida Hedaru, head of civilian marketing affairs. His name's a pun on shithead. Jinso lazily glanced at the Hokage. Hiruzen-san, I thought this was a shinobi issue. Shouldn't only the shinobi council be involved if civilians aren't affected? He asked. Unfortunately, that ellipse knocked out most civilian power, so they're involved, Hiruzen sighed. Damn, if it's such a problem, why not build a generator to power the village? Guards could rotate every half hour, so if power drops, a quick Raiten jutsu can fix it. It'd make life easier. Hadn't thought of that. Thanks, Jason. No problem. Honestly, I wouldn't want to be here either. Jumping through space and time barriers is exhausting. Barriers of time and space? Asked the ever-stoic Hyuga Hayashi. Dimension hopping, warping, universal teleportation, call it what you want. It's traveling to other dimensions or universes with a special ability or item, and I'm the only one who can do it, Jinso explained. This caught the civilians' attention, and one greedy-looking man spoke up. We should. No way. I'm not doing that crazy BS. I don't want it or need it. I might sound insane, but I love only one woman, and I won't break her heart just because some wannabe village leaders want to control me and my future family. Jinso cut him off, shooting a deadly glare. And secondly, you assume I'm some kind of troublemaker simply because I don't treat the village leader with the same respect as everyone else. Yet, I have no criminal record, nor do you possess any proof of me committing any wrongdoing or public offenses. Not that I ever have. At this point, you resemble a toddler who just had his favorite toy taken away, at least in the eyes of the shinobi world. That includes me. Jinso concluded, his tone darkening. The Chaconet then uncorked a bottle of 1787 Chateau Lafite, poured more wine into his glass, sealed the bottle again, and placed it at his feet. Now then, if someone with some decency would address me properly, I'll be happy to explain everything that happened, Jinso said, holding his glass of imported and extremely costly wine with casual ease. Seriously, if memory serves, one bottle of 1787 Chateau Lafite is worth about $200,000. All right then, my pup's been worried about the brat, so could you please explain the whole situation? Tsume Inuzuka asked. Very well, Jinso replied, beginning his story. 2 hours later, half of the Chaconets imported and again, extremely pricey, wine had been consumed, and nearly everyone present stared at him with wide eyes. Naturally, Jinso had left out some parts, like the entire water dungeon ordeal and how they ended up there, his run-in with Ryugauteki, Megumi's presence, who Amaterasu was, and the part where he knocked Lucifer back to last week in a rock fight. Aburame Shibai was the first to collect his thoughts as he adjusted his glasses. Your story sounds truthful, but it seems you've omitted something, said the head of the logic jukeboxes. And what might that be, Shibai-san? Jinso asked, surprised that the Aburame clan leader had earned his respect. Taking this opportunity, Jinso refilled his glass and took a small sip. You still haven't said who the woman beside you is, Shibai noted, gesturing toward Amaterasu, who was currently snuggled close to Jinso. Many women on the Shinobi Council reacted with an "Owawa." Meanwhile, on the civilian council side, well, let's just say the ogling was enough to make Jirtya uneasy. Yes, who exactly is that woman? Another civilian with lustful eyes asked. Jinso's gaze shifted into a dangerous, yet captivating mix of blood red and amber, as he let out a low, feral growl toward the civilians. She's the only woman I've loved in a long, long time who's loved me back. So if any of you keep leering at her with your sick, perverted eyes, the eunuchs of Konoha Club will be gaining a lot more members today. The Chaconet growled in a deep voice, fiercely protective like a male dog defending his mate. Most dared not offend this beast in human form, but one fool was too reckless to resist. Fear torments all minds, and the only way to escape it is to be foolish enough to deny it. How dare you speak to us like that? We are the Council of Konoha. We decide what separates a man from the beasts beneath him in this hidden village. The foolish councilman shouted indignantly. His attempt to rouse his colleagues failed, however. Jinso finished his sip, holding the glass at his side. His ethereal eyes, still a mix of blood red and amber, narrowed as he spoke in a haunting tone. What difference is there between a man and the beast he has slain if both behave the same? Jinso asked wisely. The difference is that man will always be superior. Any man, no matter who, is better than even the mightiest dragon. Yes, absolutely. Even if a dragon is noble, it remains a mindless beast that should bow before the strongest race. Humans, we are smarter, we outnumber them, so naturally we are better. You say humans are superior. How can you be so certain? Jinso inquired. I know because I understand the natural order. I stand above you. You understand far too little. In this shinobi world, power determines one's place. The Hokage is the strongest ninja here, ruling over all. That's what you fail to grasp. You don't know how the shinobi world works because you're just a civilian who chose to avoid the path of duty and sacrifice, Jinso said. Does it matter? I'm still above you, plain and simple. You understand nothing of your place in this world. One who understands nothing can comprehend nothing, and if one can comprehend nothing, he is no better than dead. You claim man is superior to beast, but have you ever considered what a man truly is? Why should I? Man is far above any beast alive. Do you even know what a man is, or are you blinded by your love for that monster you live with? The idiot sneered. The boy I live with is no monster. He's a far greater human than you could ever hope to be. That boy is a monster. There are cults worshipping him, offering him tribute. He steals souls and enslaves men. Perhaps the same could be said about all religions. Naruto is a savior compared to the likes of you, Jinso retorted, finishing the last drops of wine. If he's a savior, then we're all doomed. We don't need a savior like him. We need a man, not a monster, the fool spat. Jinso sneered back. What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. Jinso threw his glass aside, shattering it on the floor. He rose, eyes still locked on the counselor. By your words, you imply the Inuzuka are no more than wild dogs who slobber and drool, that the Nara are no different from the deer roaming their lands, that the Aburim are nothing but bugs inside their bodies. You claim every shinobi here is just a wild animal, and only the civilians are truly human. The clan heads, Sarutobi, Jinso, Naruto, and Amaterasu all glared openly at the foolish counselor. And what if I am? The moron replied boldly. Every ninja drew the weapons they carried. Then natural law will declare the beast always mightier than man. Tsume snarled. Jinso smiled. I agree completely, Tsume-san. If beasts are stronger, then let man have a reason to fear them. Saying those words, Jinso dropped to all fours and let out a fierce, savage howl. His skin was soon covered in thick brown fur. His face stretched into a snout filled with razor-sharp teeth. His eyes retained their ethereal blend, while a tail sprouted behind him. Two brown wolf ears perked on his head. His hands and feet morphed into sharp claws. Gold markings glowing like fire appeared across his body. Jinso had transformed into a wolf. Do you fear me now, counselor? Jinso growled. Hiruzen-sama, may I be the one to carry out the task? The wolf god inquired. By all means, Hiruzen answered, gesturing with a wave to proceed. Hokage-sama, the foolish counselor pleaded desperately with the village leader. In a shinobi village, the leader's command is absolute. He declared your sentence as death. I am merely the entity tasked with enforcing that decree. Now, before I send your miserable soul to the depths of hell, may I have your name? Fuck you. The man's name is Jansu Uzeda, Hiruzen responded. Very well, Jansu Uzeda. I warned you that I would deliver your mortal soul to death. Your life is like a clock tower's hands ... It moves steadily forward, until it halts at the twilight of your time with a dreadful toll from its bell. And death is the one who allows it to chime at your final moments. Fear began to creep into the once bold counselor's gaze. No, PPL please. Uzeda stared at his impending executioner, terror evident in his cowardly eyes as the shadow of death loomed behind Jinso. For whom does the bell toll? It tolls for thee. Foresee at the last word, Jinso ceased circling the man and sank his teeth into the sides of his head, though not deeply enough to kill him immediately. A scream of pain erupted as Jinso tore the man's head and spine free from his body. Most of the onlookers revealed what they had eaten earlier at the gruesome sight. Blood gushed like a fountain from the void where Jansu Uzeda's head once was. His lifeless body crumpled to the ground, while his still shrieking head remained clutched in Jinso's jaws. The wolf god flung the head beside the body and reared his snout back. Then he exhaled a burst of flame that swiftly consumed the corpse, eliminating the blood and stench. Jinso quickly returned to Amaterasu and Naruto, shifting back into human form. His fur, tails, and ears vanished. However, the white tank top Jinso had been wearing was shredded beyond repair, so he chose to go shirtless for the remainder of the meeting, showing off his fit, muscular physique. After wiping the blood from his mouth, the meeting pressed on. Jinso snapped his fingers, causing the glass he had thrown on the floor to reassemble and float back into his awaiting hand. Once again, both councils fixed him with wide, astonished stares. With a sigh, Jinso spoke as he poured himself more wine. I'm guessing you're curious about how I made that glass reassemble on its own. That's another ability of mine. You can mend shattered objects at will, someone on the Shinobi Council asked. Jinso finished pouring his wine and placed the bottle on the floor. Not exactly. The core of this power is metaphysical and incorporeal manipulation. Incorporeal, like ghosts and spirits? Tsum questioned. Exactly. I can manipulate almost any kind of matter I want, but I usually use it on inanimate things. Fixing a broken wagon is much harder when the horse is still dragging it, you know. The incorporeal aspect I mostly use to help spirits find rest. Jinso explained. Could you demonstrate an example? Hiruzen requested. I'm sorry, but I'd rather not reveal all my tricks. I'm a shinobi after all. Deception is my strongest tool. Jinso replied, taking another sip of wine. I understand, Jason. That reminds me, since your arrival in Konoha, you haven't shared your true name. The Hokage simply calls you Jason. Why is that? Hyuga Hayashi inquired. I prefer to keep my name private from those I don't want to know it. In the ninja world, information is your lover and deception your closest ally. You should understand that as a shinobi yourself. Jinso said. The Hyuga clan head nodded in acknowledgement. Jinso drained his glass before continuing. Well, if there's nothing else to discuss, I'll take my leave. Receiving a respectful nod from the Hokage, Jinso gathered his couch, glass, and wine bottle and headed home with Amaterasu and Naruto. At least that was his plan. But naturally, a group of generic angry villagers, those same types some fanfiction authors love to bash, were gathered just about 2 yards from Naruto's house, grumbling that they wanted Naruto's head served on a silver platter because their homes had no power and no lights. Look, the demon's here. Let's catch it before the Hokage notices. One random cannon fodder yelled, pointing. The crowd suddenly produced torches and pitchforks as if from thin air, while Jinso sighed. Naruto, can you take Amaterasu inside for a moment? I need to handle some trash for the sanitation crew. Naruto nodded and took Amaterasu's hand like a child holding their mother's while crossing the street. Jinso fixed the mob with a stern glare. Look, can you idiots just back off for one day? I just jumped through the barriers of 2 different dimensions in one day, and it's more exhausting than you'll ever feel in your lives. So leave me alone and go bother someone else. The Chaconet shouted, a vein throbbing on his forehead. The crowd went silent. They were way too quiet for a mob of angry idiots. Let's kill the demon's lover instead. There it was. Jinso let out a low growl. You dumbasses never learn, do you? He said rhetorically. Drawing his golden katana, Jinso pressed a button on the hilt, turning the steel blade into a beam of pure energy. A.N. That's right, MOTHERFUCKRS. Jainaso has a fucking lightsaber, and he's not afraid to use it. Actually, he has 2, but those MORONS aren't worth it. The foolish cannon fodder charged at Jinso, ready to attack. Bitch, please. Jinso's energy blade sliced through them like a sushi chef's knife through fish. One idiot charged him, but Jinso simply punted the man into the hospital. Within seconds, only one of the civilians remained before him. Jinso lazily held back his glowing lightsaber before lunging at the civilian. The energy blade pierced the man's stomach and exited through his back as Jinso whispered in his ear. Time for you to sleep. Gripping his energy blade's handle, Jinso tossed the man into the air, leapt beside him, kicked him higher, then slammed him down, creating a crater in the earth. Jinso's lightsaber pierced the hole again as he landed crouched on the blade's handle, pushing the dead fool deeper into the soil. 5-6 feet under, indeed. Jinso flipped off the handle and retracted his blade, swinging it in a circle before reverting it to a golden katana. With a flourish, the sword slid back into its sheath. Another day, another group of idiots dead, Jinso muttered as he walked back inside. I'll make after the credits and cut. The camera clip snapped off. All right, good job. Awa. Hold on, you said most of them. Does that mean we actually get to show up in person in the next chapter? Minato asked eagerly. Sorry, but you'll have to check your scripts and find out on your own. Jinso Kitsune-kun replied with a wicked laugh. Wait, there's still a red light on the camera screen, one of the extras noticed. What? Jinso Kitsune-kun suddenly shouted. He dashed over and stared intently at the camera. Damn it. Someone turn that thing off right now. The author ordered a random crew member. But I have no idea how, I'm just the boom mic guy. Jinso Kitsune-kun groaned, slapping his forehead. Minato, could you give me a hand here? The fourth Hokage grabbed the camera and blasted a Rasengan straight into the lens, shattering it and cutting off the feed instantly. Sunlight streamed through the windows of Jinso's room, joined by the gentle chirping of birds outside. Man, it feels amazing not having to deal with all that tedious paperwork up in heaven. Good thing I thought to splice Kami's DNA with mine before we left. No idea what would have happened if someone up there realized Kami and I had vanished. The Chaconet was pulled from his thoughts by a soft moaning nearby. Turning his head, the god spotted Amaterasu somehow pleasuring herself in her sleep. The sight nearly made Jinso's eyes bulge out. Holy hell, I must be the luckiest guy in heaven if I get to witness this. Jinkoi, this feels incredible, Amaterasu murmured in her sleep. Looks like she's dreaming about me, Jinso muttered, a sly grin creeping across his face. He then activated the barrier and silencing seals set all around the room. Well then, I'll turn that dream into reality. Time skip, have I ever told you how deeply I love you? He asked the white-haired beauty as he deactivated the sound and barrier seals surrounding the room. Amaterasu tapped her chin thoughtfully. I think another round of fun would be the best proof, she replied with a seductive grin. Not until that injury heals up. Jinso lifted his lover bridal style and carried her to the shower to get cleaned up, much to Amaterasu's disappointment. No sex just yet. Jinso replied, I want you walking perfectly fine, remember. Afterward, he carried her back to their shared room, still holding her bridal style, stealing kisses along the way. A towel was wrapped around Amaterasu's body, covering what Jinso fondly called her tempting curves and sweet nectar, while he sported a towel around his waist. Just then, the door swung open. Hey Nig-san, you awake? Whoa. One Naruto's eyes widened at the sight of his surrogate brother and Amaterasu kissing while both clad only in towels. Jinso broke the kiss, eyes wide. Naruto. What the hell are you doing in my room? Jinso barked at his adopted younger brother. I, Naruto stammered, eyes darting between them. He then slapped himself to snap out of it. I was just checking if you were awake. Well, you should have knocked. Sorry, Naruto shouted, covering his face and bolting out. Jinso sighed. Guess we should get dressed so Naruto can make it to his team meeting, he said to Amaterasu. She mock-pouted adorably, making Jinso want to kiss her endlessly. I know, I'd love to stay here too, but work calls, and we both have a meeting with the Hokage. Amaterasu kissed him lightly and asked, Where exactly do you work? They put me in the T&I department. I can be one sadistic bastard sometimes. Smiling, Jinso kissed her again. Well, when we have kids, you'll definitely be a bastard, Amaterasu teased, both chuckling. All right, let's get dressed and grab some breakfast. 30 minutes later, the sound of a door opening caught Naruto's attention as Jinso and Amaterasu stepped out of their shared room. Jinso wore ANBU-style pants and shirt, with metal bracers on his forearms, his forehead protector wrapped like a choker, and his golden katana sheathed in an ornate crimson scabbard etched with a golden Chinese dragon. Amaterasu sported her rosary, the tundra beads, as a necklace, ready for instant use via an invisible ink seal that glowed when toggled, courtesy of Jinso. The reflector named Solar Flare hung from her tight leather pants on a chain, sealed similarly. Her fifth-tier glaive, Thunder Edge, was strapped to her back by another seal. She wore a sleeveless purple top that showed off her figure, reminiscent of a certain purple-haired snake mistress. Dango stand, why do I suddenly feel like running across town and hugging someone? Jinso and Naruto's apartment. Hey Nig-san, Naruto greeted lazily. Hey Naruto. Sorry about our little earlier disagreement. No big deal. At least you didn't beat me up like that dumb pink banshee at the academy. I have to keep my cool, but even Sasuke hates her, Naruto said. Amaterasu raised an eyebrow and silently mouthed, pink-haired banshee, at Jinso. Sasuke's unwanted fangirl, Jinso mouthed back, making Amaterasu shudder. Even a sun goddess had her run-ins with fanboys and fangirls. Who knew Nippon had so many lesbians? Yeah, true, though it's polite to knock before entering. We need to work on that. Anyway, want some breakfast? I'm good, Nig-san. Already ate. Jinso raised an eyebrow at the trash can which held 5 empty instant ramen cups. Ramen for breakfast? Seriously? Jinso asked. Naruto shrugged. It's a habit I'll never quit. Blame society, he replied. Amaterasu giggled softly. By the way, Nig-san, do you know where Kamiwan-chan went? She got a job at some food stand. Didn't say the name but told me if you ever go, just call her Kanoteki, sexy. Naruto raised an eyebrow. She wants me to call her sexy, Jinso asked. Kami said she'd prefer if you added Chan at the end, Naruto sighed. All right then. Jinso grinned. Well, you better find your team. Last I heard, Kakashi told me to tell you to report to Training Ground 7 at 7 a.m. Naruto glanced at the clock. Fuck, it's 9:30, Naruto yelled. Relax. Kakashi's always 3 hours late, you'll be fine. Now go meet your team. Naruto nodded. Just before leaving, Jinso said, and Naruto, yeah, Nick-san, remember what I told you about? What test? Sasuke asked, ignoring Naruto's outburst. The exam you took at the academy was only to determine if you qualified to become a genin. The real challenge is in actual combat, Kakashi explained, then pointed to 2 silver bells hanging from his waist. The test is straightforward. If you manage to take these bells from me before noon, 2 of you will pass. The one who fails to get a bell will have to return to the academy. Naruto's eyes narrowed. No way, the blonde snapped angrily. What? That's complete nonsense, Headache. Nobody's ever heard of a 3-person team in Konoha's history, or even a 2-person squad. There've only been 3 cases of solo missions, but never a 3-man unit. You're bluffing, Naruto replied. How can you be so sure? Kakashi challenged. Because my older brother made me study Konoha's history and politics. I have a photographic memory, Headache. You can't trick me. Kakashi smirked inwardly but maintained a serious expression. Oh really? The silver-haired Jonin asked. Besides, even if what you said was true, I'd hand the bells to my teammates anyway. The real test is teamwork. As the 4th Hokage once said, always look beneath the surface. Naruto explained. Kakashi was stunned. How did you figure all that out? My older brother drilled it into me during training, Naruto answered. Flashback. 2 years ago. So what are we practicing today, Nick-san? Naruto asked as he stepped into the clearing in the Forest of Death where Jinso waited. Nick-san, Naruto, do you trust me? Jinso finally asked after a long pause. What does that have to do with today's training? Just answer me, Naruto. Well, of course I trust you. You saved my life and have helped me so much, Nick-san. Good, I want to explain something important. Come sit here. Naruto moved closer, and just as he was about to sit, Jinso swung his golden katana, aiming to slice him in half. And Nick-san, Naruto cried, leaping back. Jinso sheathed his sword. Do you know why I did that? Jinso asked. No, Naruto replied cautiously. Today's lesson is about trust. That's why I asked you earlier. Sorry for nearly cutting you, but it was necessary. Necessary for what? You said you trust me, right? Seeing Naruto nod, he continued. Trust is special. It means you believe in someone and are willing to lower your defenses. It tells them they matter, but misplaced trust can kill you. What do you mean? Trust is like a double-edged blade. Trust the right person and your bond strengthens. Trust the wrong one and you might get stabbed in the back while you sleep. You must be extremely careful about who you trust. Only trust those who would never betray you. You can trust me because I've never harmed you intentionally. You can trust Kami for the same reason. But always stay vigilant. Jinso turned to gaze at the sky. When you become genin, you'll be assigned to a team of 2 others, whom you might not like. Still, you have to trust them with your life during missions. Trust is the foundation on which the skyscraper of teamwork stands. Without a foundation, the skyscraper of teamwork collapses and shatters, Naruto finished. Jinso smiled and nodded. Exactly. Now how about a spar? I know you're eager to show me a new jutsu you came up with. Flashback ends. You have a brother, Naruto-kun. I thought you were an only child, Hinata asked. He's not my real brother. I just call him that because he's like family to me, Naruto explained. More importantly, he tried to cut you in half with a sword, Kakashi asked. That's one way to put it. Point 3 My older brother's training methods are unusual. He's a real slave driver, Naruto exclaimed. Really, the last time I saw him, he seemed pretty chill, Sasuke said to Naruto. Naruto nodded. When he's not training or fighting, my brother is calm. But if someone insults his loved ones or he's in battle, not even a naked woman standing in front of him could make him blush, Naruto said seriously. Everyone raised their eyebrows. Seriously? Kakashi asked. Naruto nodded. Just yesterday, someone insulted me in front of him. He ripped that guy's head off, pulling the spine out too, Naruto said with a grim expression. Sasuke turned pale and Hinata looked shocked. I think I heard about that, Kakashi said. Apparently, the guy was a civilian council member who called Naruto a monster and a slobbering beast, claiming all shinobi were beasts who should bow to civilians, Who are our betters? Kakashi said bitterly. At that moment, Naruto's brother transformed into some kind of wolf, jumped into the stands, and began circling him like a predator. Then the council member broke a high-level law, and Hokage-sama allowed Naruto's brother to kill him. So he tore the man's head off with his teeth and pulled the spine out too, their sensei explained. Naruto nodded. My brother said if the guy was going to die, it would be by his hand. The man told us to go to hell and called us horrible names, breaking a serious law. Then Hokage said my brother could kill him, and my brother joked that the man would be the first to get there. Then he bit into the guy's head, ripped it off and pulled out the spine, Naruto added. Damn, Sasuke said in awe and a bit of fear. Yeah, but my brother's only mean to people he hates. He's nice to everyone else, Naruto reassured. Hey Nixan Nichan, Naruto called out, waving energetically. That's your brother? Sasuke asked, eyes narrowing. Naruto nodded, then pointed towards Amaterasu. Yeah, and that's his girlfriend. Sasuke followed the gesture and stared in disbelief. One lucky guy, the raven-haired boy muttered quietly. Jinso glanced over at Hiruzen. Hiruzen-san, I thought only you, Kakashi, and Team 7 were supposed to watch this. The Chaconet questioned. Sadly, it seems my secretary spilled the beans to way too many people, and now they're all eager to watch Kakashi fight, the Hokage replied. Jinso just shrugged. Fine then. Kakashi's going to get his butt kicked anyway, the Chaconet said with a shrug. A few nearby folks booed him for that. Amaterasu rose from her lover's side and planted a kiss on his cheek. Don't keep me waiting too long, Jinso teased. Look who's talking, mister, I've got a power pole down my pants, for she shot back playfully. Jinso grinned. That's not what you said this morning when I offered. 5 Amaterasu flushed red but quickly brushed it off, then stepped into the middle of the training ground, standing opposite Kakashi. She concealed her limp with a complicated henge, so no one noticed. Just before Hiruzen began the announcement, Amaterasu said, Kakashi-san, if you want a real chance, I suggest you put that eye of yours to use right away. The Jonin's visible eye widened at that. Most of the crowd cheered for Kakashi, but some, like the Ikaraku team and Uruka, rooted for Amaterasu, since she was Naruto's stand-in older sister alongside that silver-haired woman. Quiet down, everyone. Akami-san wishes to join the shinobi ranks and will be sparring to determine her placement. This is a sparring match only, no killing allowed. Use any techniques you have. Are both fighters ready? Kakashi gave a grunt of confirmation and Amaterasu nodded. All right then. Hajime, Amaterasu vanished so fast that even Kakashi lost sight of her, stunning everyone but Jinso. The silver-haired shinobi tensed. He hadn't fought anyone that quick in some time. Suddenly, a swift kick with high-heeled shinobi sandals slammed into Kakashi's face, sending him flying into a tree. Regaining his balance, Kakashi channeled chakra into his feet and rebounded off the trunk into the air. Amaterasu appeared beside him and delivered a powerful roundhouse kick to his stomach. For those unaware, Chuck Norrising, someone means hitting them hard with a roundhouse kick anywhere. Kakashi had no time to react before crashing into the top branches of a tree. Amaterasu reappeared on the ground and summoned Solar Flare to full size. She threw the disc and pulled out an ink pot. Dipping her finger, she pointed at the flames on the reflector and directed her finger toward Kakashi's tree. Most spectators thought she was nuts, until a stream of fire shot from the blazing reflector, setting the tree trunk ablaze and rapidly climbing upward. Solar Flare spun back and landed in Amaterasu's hand. Kakashi leapt out just before the fire consumed the top, turning it to ash. Hinata, Sasuke, and the Hokage stared in shock, while Sasuke turned to his friend and rival. How did she do that? I didn't see her make any hand seals. The raven-haired boy whispered. Naruto smirked. If she dips her finger in ink, Nichan can link her chakra to multiple objects and control them. She modeled it on how an ink brush connects the parts of a poem, just like she connects the elements. Plus, she has techniques that don't even require linking to anything, Naruto whispered back. The silver-haired Jonin landed, one eye wide open. Do you see what I meant, Kakashi-san? Back home, demons and monsters ran rampant. I was a famed monster hunter, and it's wise to bring out the heavy artillery when facing me, Amaterasu told him. Kakashi's eye narrowed as he lifted his headband to reveal a 3-tomo Sharingan. You know the Sharingan is one of the 3 great Dijutsu, right? Kakashi asked. Amaterasu smirked. And you do realize I couldn't care less. The Sharingan won't affect me. Go ahead, take your best shot. I'll let you have one free try, she said boldly. Is she nuts? Someone shouted. Kakashi approached Amaterasu, locking eyes with her. For a moment, she stayed still. Is she trapped? A spectator whispered. Kakashi was trying to trap her in genjutsu to force a forfeit. Amaterasu started speaking in a flat tone. Unnoticed by most, Jinso smirked and unsealed a cup of wine. This is going to be interesting. Kakashi-san, there's something I want to say, she said expressionlessly. Yes. By the time Kakashi noticed the smirk spreading across her perfect face, it was too late. A chakra-powered kick landed squarely in his crotch, causing Kakashi to emit a high-pitched scream as he collapsed. That looked even worse than what Jiraiya said he felt when Tsunade caught him spying on her. The crowd collectively gasped. OOHHH. Yugikure, hot springs. A certain super pervert felt a shiver run down his spine. I suddenly feel all those years of neglect coming back to haunt me. Back at the fight, nice try, but that trick won't work on me. Amaterasu bent down so Kakashi could see her, giving Jinso a perfect view of her divine curves. 6. Hallelujah. Jinso muttered to himself. 7. A breeze swept by, carrying the author's opinion in a way only Jinso could hear. I second that. 8. Pressing his hit 8 over his single sharing an eye, Amaterasu spoke again. And never underestimate a woman. She then sauntered over to Jinso, planting a kiss on his cheek before sitting back on his lap. That's my woman, Jinso said proudly. 9. Amaterasu giggled. The key word being my, she replied. Even Hiruzen needed a moment to recover before announcing, Shaosha, Akami. Please step forward, Akami-san, and receive your shinobi rank. Amaterasu left Jinso's side and approached the Hokage. For your combat skills and ninjutsu mastery, I hereby grant you the rank of Jonin. Make your village proud. Hiruzen handed over a Jonin flak jacket. Thank you, Hokage-sama. I accept this rank with pride and honor, she bowed respectfully. Also, you're assigned to the T&I department, effective immediately. Please report there at once. Amaterasu cheerfully responded, Hi, and returned to her lover's side, and together they vanished with a shunshin. T&I department. They appeared before Ibiki and Anko, somehow managing to start making out while in the lead the way. Ibiki guided Amaterasu down the corridor toward the interrogation chamber. With Team 7, well, since you aced my test perfectly, we can jump right into missions, Kakashi said, as he hobbled back to the training grounds alongside his team. Hey Cyclops-sensei, are you sure you're okay? My big sis has turned plenty of guys into girls just like that, Naruto remarked. Kakashi felt an odd numbness in his groin and had an urge to check himself. 10, I'll manage. Now why don't we head to the mission hall and pick something? Kakashi suggested. Interrogation room. The door clicked shut behind Amaterasu as she stepped inside. In the center sat a man tied to a chair. His hair was short and green, his eyes a dull gray. Several bandages covered parts of his face. He wore prison clothes, and a heavy ball and chain was fastened to his left ankle. Oh great, another interrogator here to squeeze info out of me. What's next? You're gonna fuck me till I talk, you dumb bitch, the prisoner sneered. Amaterasu smiled wickedly as she opened a scarlet-colored toolbox. Now, no need for crude language, prisoner-san. If you just give me what I want, there'll be no pain, she purred sweetly. Screw you. Not a word. His defiance only made Amaterasu's grin wider, feeding his growing fear. Perfect. I want to hear you scream, she said. Amaterasu pulled out 5 needles and jabbed them into the joints of his elbows, knees, and the back of his neck. What's this, acupuncture? Doesn't hurt at all, the prisoner taunted, but Amaterasu then plunged even more needles into every joint she could find. The man looked more like a porcupine than a person. Is that your best? I'm never telling you anything. The white-haired beauty reached into her toolbox again and withdrew a syringe filled with a glowing lime-green liquid. This serum was made by my boyfriend. It contracts your muscles so tightly, even moving a finger is agony. Last chance to back out before you start crying for your mama, she warned. Bring it on. Bet that crap doesn't work, the prisoner spat. Amaterasu smirked as she injected the substance into his wrist. His body instantly stiffened. Now then, what do you know about La Muerte Kayaba? Not a damn thing, he yelled. Amaterasu slowly lifted one of his fingers, causing him to howl in pain. You see, even though your muscles are tight, the real torture comes from your own movements. When hurt, people try to pull away, but with muscles locked, moving hurts, and the needles jab deeper into your bones and joints, making it worse, she explained with a wicked smile. Then she rested her hand on her chin and asked, La muerte callaba, I think that means the mahogany death in Spanish. Who is he? The prisoner's eyes widened as fearful memories flooded his mind. And no, I can't. Pure evil, he whimpered. Get out of my head, he screamed at nothing. Amaterasu infused chakra into a pressure point to calm him. Calm down, we're not done yet. Before you blacked out in the hospital, you mentioned someone with blonde hair. What was that about? The prisoner's gaze sharpened. That thing with blonde hair and whiskers, he muttered. Amaterasu racked her brain, thinking of anyone matching that description. Only Naruto came to mind. I gathered a mob to finish what the fourth had started, but La Muerte Callaba stopped me. It was terrible, he panicked. Amaterasu grabbed his neck, forcing chakra into him to compel his answers. Describe La Muerte Callaba for me, she demanded. His eyes glazed over as he replied mechanically. Brown-haired, tan skin, eyes blood red, mixed with amber, a golden katana that turned into a blade of pure energy. The prisoner's words made Amaterasu's eyes widen. Jinso was La Muerte Callaba. This prisoner had to be part of the mob that showed up at their house yesterday. Amaterasu released her grip. You'll be staying here a while, prisoner-san. Count yourself lucky I didn't kill you outright. She exited to inform Ibiki, Anko, and Jinso. Time skip what? Jinso, Ibiki, and Anko all exclaimed. That guy's still alive after I punted him. If I wasn't so mad, I'd say congrats. Jinso shouted. Ibiki gave him a sharp look. Punted? You kicked him across the village so hard it ruined his chances of fathering a kid. The scarred Jonin said. Jinso shrugged. He just looked like a giant football, so I gave him an extra big punt, the Chaconet replied with folded arms. Then he turned to Amaterasu. What do you think, ref? 13 Amaterasu, dressed as a football referee, blew her whistle and raised her arms. It's good, 14 she declared. Jinso grinned. Touchdown for the home team. 15 he high-fived Amaterasu, who pulled a football from thin air and slammed it down. Touchdown. 16 even Anko twitched an eyebrow at their antics. Are you guys on some crazy meds? The snake mistress asked. Jinso scratched his chin. Not that I know of. How about you, Rasu-chan? They turned to see Amaterasu giggling, tied in a straitjacket. 17 H-O-H-O-H-O ha-ha. H-O-H-O-H-O ha-ha. The white-haired woman cackled madly. 18 you nuts? Ibiki asked. 19 nope, just where it counts. Amaterasu answered, saluting with her tongue sticking out. 20 just so you know, I'm not a military general, Ibiki said. Yes sir, understood. 21 Ibiki sighed as Jinso explained. We've decided to annoy the village when Naruto can't. Ibiki raised an eyebrow. So you're the prankster king and queen from hell, and the brat's the prankster prince. Nah, he's the prankster king of the third circle of hell, we're the king and queen of the eighth. 22 Jinso said. Ibiki facepalmed. Whatever, just go home you two. My sanity's slipping just standing here. Ibiki said. All right then. Remember, life's more fun without sanity, same with your virginity, Jinso teased. 22 Amaterasu suddenly giggled. What was that about? And come back here, you mischievous cat. That was the familiar shout echoing through Konoha as Uchiha Sasuke, Hyuga Hinata, and Uzumaki Naruto chased after the biggest nuisance any genin could face. Tora, the daimyo's wife's elusive cat. Sasuke, if let me lend a hand, I could grab Toraa, Naruto called out. Sasuke's face was covered in scratch marks while Naruto, Hinata, and Kakashi remained unscathed. No way. Katon, Juyukekyu no Jutsu. A massive blast shook the training grounds as a blazing fireball shot close to Tora. Just let me help you, grumpy emo. I'm not emo. I'm just misunderstood. Got her. A gentle voice interrupted. Naruto and Sasuke paused their argument in the trees to see Hinata calmly petting Tora. The cat purred contentedly beneath her touch. Wow, Hinata-heim. You gotta teach me that sometime, Naruto whistled in admiration. Good job, team, let's wrap up our mission. Their laid-back, somewhat pervy sensei appeared from the foliage. You didn't even lift a finger. You just stood there reading that trashy novel, Sasuke shouted at him. Suddenly, a dark aura enveloped Naruto as everyone began to sweat. Tora nestled close to Hinata while Naruto's teammates backed off. Only Kakashi stayed put. And Naruto, see can't we resolve this peacefully? Kakashi stammered. Naruto slowly reached for his side and pulled out an L-shaped object. It was black with orange and gold flame patterns, adorned with a gold lightning bolt, and gleamed with a chrome finish. The blonde aimed it at Kakashi and shouted, Die. 3 minutes later, Hokage's office, where are Naruto-kun and Kakashi? Hiruzen asked the remaining two members of Team 7. Hinata held Tora in her arms. They couldn't return the cat until everyone was present, as the mission required the full team. Just then, the door burst open and Naruto dragged in a scorched, electrified, barely alive Kakashi. "There they are," Sasuke remarked dryly. Naruto dropped Kakashi on the floor. "Naruto-kun, why is Kakashi in such bad shape?" Hiruzen inquired. Naruto gave his surrogate grandfather a blank look and said, "I hate that book." The Hokage glanced down at the Ika Ika novel still in Kakashi's hands. Hinata handed Tora back to the daimyo's wife, who immediately started petting, or rather, choking the cat. Sasuke grinned wickedly, making strangling gestures at Tora. "Ah well, good work Team 7. Now we have more D-rank jobs available, painting fences, walking in Yuzuka dogs. Tora, chasing the daimyo's wife's cat." Sasuke's eye twitched violently at the thought of another Tora chase. Hokage-sama, could we possibly get a C-rank mission?" Even Kakashi turned to look at the usually timid Hinata, who blushed from the attention. "She's right, Hokage Jiji. We've finished the required 25 D-rank missions for a C-rank assignment," Naruto added. Hiruzen nodded thoughtfully. "All right, let me see." He sifted through papers until he found one that caught his eye. "Here we go. Team 8 recently went on an escort mission to the Land of Waves about a week ago. They encountered the Akuma Kyushifu, Demon Brothers, and Mamachi Zabuza. Their sensei requested reinforcements immediately upon arrival. I will send you 4 plus 2 Jonin as backup should things escalate." Just as he reached for the intercom, a voice interrupted, "We're already here, Hiruzen-san." Two figures dropped from the ceiling, revealing Jinso and Amaterasu. "Two questions. 1. How did you know I was going to call you? And 2. How long have you been up there?" the elderly Hokage asked. "Well, I predicted it, and ever since we heard Team 7 chasing Tora around the village," Jinso said, scratching his chin. "All right then, you all have your orders, so you may depart when ready." The 6 nodded, shouting, "Hi," before vanishing in a shunshin and reappearing outside the tower. "Everyone pack a week's worth of supplies and clothes. Meet back here in an hour," Kakashi instructed. Jinso added, "Actually, just pack clothes. I've already sealed enough rations, drinks, medicines, tools, everything. It should only take a few minutes, so meet back here in 10. That includes you, Kakashi," the Chaconet said. Everyone went off to pack clothing. 10 minutes later they regrouped at the southern gates, all on time, including Kakashi. "Everyone got all their clothes and personal stuff?" Amaterasu asked. After receiving affirmative replies, Kakashi said, "Let's move out." With that, Team 7 and the 2 Jonin passed through the massive gates of Konoha no Sato. 2 minutes later, "Hey, Kakashi-san," Jinso asked. "Yes, why are we walking to Nami no Kuni? We could just sprint there." "We need to save energy in case we encounter hostile shinobi or bandits," Kakashi replied. Jinso facepalmed. "Well, you should have told me that earlier," Jinso said a bit louder than intended. Everyone stopped and turned to him. "Something wrong, Nick-san?" Naruto asked. "Kakashi, you can be so dumb sometimes. I could have gotten us there in minutes," Jinso shouted. He then faced the group. "Everyone, hold on to your lunches, this is gonna be quick." He clasped his hands and let out a powerful cry as they all vanished. 1 mile from Tazuna's house, Nami no Kuni, the 6 Konoha shinobi reappeared in a flash. "We're now in Nami no Kuni. Team 8 should be about a mile that way," Jinso said, pointing randomly. Fog surrounded them on all sides, and the grass beneath was wet with moisture. "Stick together so no one gets lost. Let's go." The others shook off their daze and started toward Tazuna's house. Tazuna's house, the door opened to reveal a woman in her late 20s or early 30s with raven black hair and matching eyes. She wore a pink civilian dress with yellow cuffs. "Who are you?" she asked. Jinso stepped forward. "We're reinforcements for Team 8. They requested help after running into Mamachi Zabuza," the Chaconet replied. The woman smiled. "Come in, I'm Tsunami, and that's my father, Tazuna." They entered to find Team 8 waiting in the living room while K. "Why would we have a whole week to get ready for Zabuza?" "Like you said, he was only placed in a temporary death-like state," Shino questioned. "The human body doesn't take kindly to remaining still for too long. When someone is put into a fake death state, it usually takes an entire week for their body to fully recover and regain normal function. They need to rest completely during this recovery period just to operate as usual," Kakashi explained. So, what are we supposed to do until then? Kiba asked, while Akamaru barked from atop his head. We'll train until we can't move anymore, that's the plan, Jinso said seriously. But shouldn't we take a break and prepare ourselves for tomorrow? Sakura interjected. As shinobi, our lives are filled with danger and uncertainty. You can't afford to drop your guard even for a second during a mission, Amaterasu replied. And why's that? Naruto chimed in. Because that 1 second could be all the enemy needs to finish you off. Amaterasu and Kakashi led Team 7 out the back door to find a training spot. Meanwhile, Kiba's eyes were fixed on Amaterasu's backside. Suddenly, he felt cold steel pressed against his neck, and somewhere more sensitive. By the way, keep ogling my girlfriend like that, and your eyes won't be the only thing I slice up. Got it? Jinso said flatly, pressing his kunai deeper into Kiba's pants for emphasis. The Chaconet then withdrew his sword from Kiba's neck and went off to meet Team 7. As Jinso left, he heard Kiba being pounded on by his fangirl teammate. Kiba Baka, quit being such a creep. I'm not the only one, you dream about Sasuke all the time when you're not staring at something else. Jinso shook his head as he caught up with Team 7. How on earth did that girl even graduate? Shrugging, Jinso pulled out a Shinobi 3 trademark player, popped in the earbuds, and scrolled through his playlist with a grin. At least I've got my music. He nodded along as the song started. Hey little bro, Naruto turned toward Jinso, who called his name while unsealing a scroll and tossing it over. Keep practicing the exercises I gave you. I'll be inside if you need me, just shout. Naruto nodded and walked off. Jinso headed toward the house. Kurenai, Kiba, and Sakura had gone to guard Tazuna on the bridge, so inside were just Tsunami, Shino, and Inari. Inari sulked on the couch while Tsunami swept the kitchen floor. Team 8 sat quietly in the living room. Hello, Tsunami-san, Jinso greeted, removing his earbuds and putting away his Shinobi 3 trademark player. Tsunami stopped sweeping to wave. Hello, Shinobi-san, how are you today? Pretty good, nothing unusual. By the way, I'm Jinso, how are you holding up? I'm well, Jinso-san. Hopefully, my father finishes the bridge soon and things return to normal. Jinso nodded. Don't worry about Tazuna-san, we'll keep him safe until the bridge is complete to the last stone. Mercenaries aren't much of a threat to us, so he'll be fine. Inari scowled more at that. Tsunami bowed politely. Thank you, that means a lot to the people of the wave. Jinso smiled. It's just what I do. I'm heading out to train now, so if you need help with anything, just call. Waving to Tsunami, nodding to Shino, and raising an eyebrow at Inari, Jinso opened the door and stepped outside. On his way, he passed the other Team 8 members. Where are you headed? Kurenai asked. Just training. It's pretty advanced stuff, so I might be gone a while. Kurenai nodded as a plan formed in Sakura's mind. If I watch his training, I can teach Sasuke-kun those techniques, and then he'll fall for me. Ha, Sasuke-kun deserves better training than Naruto Baka or his brother. Inner Sakura thought excitedly. The pink-haired fangirl sprinted after Jinso, with Kurenai and Kiba close behind. Jinso stopped at the waterfront, a wide grin on his face. Trees lined one side, with clear open water ahead. Setting his Shinobi 3 player on the ground, he unplugged the headphones and connected them to a speaker. Drawing his katana, Jinso sliced through a group of 20 tall trees, sending their midsections flying toward him. With rapid kicks and punches, he shattered the wood into thin poles that he planted upright in the water. He arranged 100 rows and columns with 10 poles each, forming a perfect square of 1,000 stilts. With a powerful leap, Jinso landed on the center pole and pulled out a kunai. Slashing his palm, blood spurted from his tan skin and took shape as he formed a ram seal, grinning at the sight. Behind a bush, Sakura hid behind some bushes, spying on Jinso. Ehehehe, this is perfect. I'll learn his techniques and then Sasuke-kun will fall for me and want me to help rebuild his clan. I almost gagged typing that. Blood dripped from her nose as she giggled. There you are, Sakura turned and wiped blood from her face as Kurenai and Kiba caught up. What do you think you're doing? Kurenai scolded. I just wanted to learn some techniques to help Sasuke-kun, so I was spying on Naruto Baka's brother. Sakura said cheerfully. Kurenai frowned. Sakura, that's not a good idea. If Naruto's brother finds out you stole his own techniques, he could take legal action against your clan, the genjutsu expert warned. She nearly blushed saying Naruto-kun, but kept it hidden. Truth is, Kurenai had once had a crush on Jinso, but had fallen for the young blonde instead, as had her close friend Anko. Her feelings for Naruto grew about a year ago, when he and his brother saved them from being gang raped. The two had gotten tipsy that night and couldn't fight back when surrounded. Luckily, Jinso and Naruto came by and destroyed their attackers. Flashback: 1 year ago, Kurenai and Anko stumbled out of a bar, cheeks flushed as they giggled. "You're so funny, Anko-chan," hic, Kurenai said, laughing. "Yeah, hic, that was awesome," Anko replied. They walked down the street until Anko suddenly pulled Kurenai into an alley. "Anko-chan, hic, what are you doing?" Giggle, Kurenai asked. Anko giggled and kissed Kurenai on the lips. "No one's watching, Nai-chan, hic, so. You disgust me, trying to assault 2 women just to satisfy yourself while leaving lasting scars." Naruto growled. "So, what you gonna do about it, kid?" One of the Chunin sneered. Both Jinso and Naruto smirked. "Don't blink," they shouted together before vanishing in a flash. The group of would-be attackers stood no chance against the two, as every Chunin was swiftly taken down. Their tainted blood splattered across the alley walls and floor, but somehow Kurenai and Anko remained untouched. One final Chunin lay crawling away from the deadly duo. What are you?" the Chunin stammered. Naruto's gaze hardened as he stepped closer. "Your end," the blonde said coldly. With a swing of his energy katana, the Chunin's head rolled across the ground. End flashback: Kurenai was snapped out of her thoughts by Kiba. "Hey Kurenai-sensei, are you okay?" Kurenai blinked and turned to the Inuzuka boy. "I'm fine, Kibi-kun." She then shot Sakura a firm look. "You shouldn't be spying on another Konoha shinobi, Sakura." "But Sasuke-kun needs to restore the Uchiha clan," Sakura argued. Kurenai sighed. If war broke out in the near future, Sakura would probably be the first to fall on their side. "Fine, we'll watch for a few minutes, then head back inside." "That's it, okay," Sakura giggled, imagining what would happen once she passed the techniques to Sasuke. Kiba looked at her, shivering. "It's official, Kami is a woman and hates me. That's why a fangirl's on my team." Elsewhere, ACHOO, with Jinso BGM on, Akami OST confronting Ushiwaka from Jinso's blood, 999 clones formed, each landing atop a nearby pole. The original Chaconet drew out an extended katana handle from its sheath. Jinso spun the handle until it shortened, then gripped its edge with his left hand and pulled forth a glowing white blade of energy, sharpened to a fine point. Holding the katana in a reverse grip, the point aimed right, his left hand formed a seal with index and middle fingers extended. Grinning, Jinso faced the clones around him. The nearest clone hopped down and scrolled through a Shinobi 3 playlist. After selecting a song, it tapped the screen and returned to its pole as music began. Each clone drew a katana and took a battle stance. BGM interrupted. New BGM on. Linkin Park, New Divide. The blood clones stared back with matching smirks. Jinso showed a sharpened canine tooth, eyes glowing with an ethereal mix. Tension thickened the air. Each clone braced for Jinso's move. His eyes flashed, and he vanished in a blur, a single phrase ringing out. "Don't blink." Jinso reappeared behind a clone, which exploded in a spray of gore. Bouncing off a pole, Jinso landed on another. The remaining 998 clones charged, aiming to land hits. Jinso leapt, kicking 2 clones in the faces and severing their heads. Landing on a pole, he sliced through 5 more, their blood staining his clothes. He smashed a heel into another clone's face, the impact ricocheting into 20 more. To Team 8, he seemed to teleport, but it was pure speed. Clone after clone fell beneath Jinso's mysterious blade, gore flying. Poles were drenched with blood and entrails. The splatter resembled ash drifting down like snow. Perched on a blood-soaked pole, Jinso held his energy blade by his side, shifting his left foot behind him. Several clones lunged, blades outstretched. Jinso vanished and reappeared behind them, who froze midair before bursting in blood. He then moved around, cutting down clone after clone. When only 1 clone remained, Jinso and it faced off on opposite poles, assuming battle stances. Both blurred out and reappeared around the poles, blades clashing with sparks illuminating the mist. Teeth clenched, they struggled for dominance. Jinso smiled, sweeping his leg to trip the clone, then stabbed it in the chest. "Time to feel pain," Jinso whispered in its ear. Swinging his energy blade, he tossed the clone into the air, vanished, reappeared beside it, kicked it higher, then drop-kicked it down. The clone landed, spines snapping on the center pole. Jinso's katana pierced the clone's stomach with a vertical strike. Jinso then descended from above, releasing a fierce chakra blast felt throughout Nami no Kuni. BGM interrupted Gado's base. Someone lying in bed shot up. a shiver running down their spine as excitement and the feeling that the past was closing in washed over them. A masked child about 12 entered. Zabuza-sama, you shouldn't move so much. Your body still needs to wreck. The person was cut off by a massive chakra surge. Did you sense that, Haku? Zabuza asked. Haku removed her mask, revealing a beautiful girl. I did, Zabuza-sama. It felt like Jinso-sama's chakra. Maybe Naruto-sama is with him, she said. Do you think they're here in Wave? I'm not sure, Zabuza-sama. I'll check when I go gather herbs tonight. Haku answered. Back to Jinso, BGM, Resumed Jinso landed on his sword's pommel, pushing it deeper into the clone that surprisingly still stood. He hopped to another pole as the clone staggered to its feet. BGM and, damn, how much blood did I use on you? You're tougher than the others, Jinso commented. I think I was made with about 2 pints of your blood, while most clones only had 1 ounce, the clone replied. Jinso nodded. That's how Kai Bunshin no Jutsu works. When creating many blood clones, some are made stronger in case the user's hemoglobin is low. One clone is always the toughest. Also, every Bunshin technique has a glitch. If you summon tons of clones, 1 or more always appear each time you use it. Well, damn, that's going to be a pain to get out of my clothes, Jinso muttered casually. He paused, staring out at the ocean with a small smirk forming on his lips. Guess it's a good excuse for a dip. Without a second thought, the Chaconet peeled off his soaked black shirt and dove straight into the water. Time skip. 4 hours later, aka dinner time. Team 7 wrapped up their daily training session, completely drained and ravenous like a pack of wild mutts. They shuffled past the shoreline, now cleared of poles and blood thanks to Jinso's earlier cleanup. Hey, anyone seen Nick-san around? Naruto asked. Suddenly, a brown blur zipped across the water's surface, dousing the group in sea spray. Naruto spun to yell, only to see Jinso riding by. The Chaconet was surfing with ease on a self-made board of ice, both arms gracefully guiding the water's flow beneath him. He launched himself off the water and landed squarely in front of the group. Speak of the devil, and here I am, little bro, Jinso quipped with a grin. He was now shirtless, clad only in blood-stained jeans and sneakers. Where'd the blood come from? Sasuke asked, pointing skeptically at his pants. Jinso glanced down and replied, oh that, just had a session with about 1,000 blood clones. Well, 999 technically. Sakura mentioned something about that earlier. She wouldn't shut up about how I'd be able to make like 10,000 if your brother could handle 1,000, Sasuke added. Jinso let out a short laugh. Unless you can use chakra to speed up your marrow and red blood cell output, you'd end up looking like a crumbling skeleton if you tried it. Sasuke visibly blanched at the image. But enough about training. Let's head in and eat. As they walked inside, they noticed Inari was no longer sprawled across the couch. All 6 of them made their way to the dining area and sat down at the table. So Tsunami-san, what's on the menu tonight? Kakashi asked, eyes still glued to his adult novel. Naturally, Jinso had to hold Naruto back before he launched at their pervy team leader. I'm sorry, but I couldn't get anything for dinner tonight. Gato recently doubled the tax on vegetable sellers, and most of them shut down, Tsunami said, her voice quivering as tears welled up in her eyes. Don't worry about it, Tsunami-san. I'll handle dinner, Jinso said suddenly, making everyone glance over in surprise. Tsunami wiped her eyes, startled by the offer. You cook? Kurenai asked, raising an eyebrow. Jinso flashed a smug grin. How do you think Naruto made it through childhood without surviving off nothing but ramen? Naruto groaned, throwing his brother a glare. Low blow, Nick-san. Jinso pulled out a scroll and unsealed an impressive supply of ingredients. All right, everyone out. I cook faster without a crowd breathing down my neck. With that, Team 7, Team 8, Tsunami, Tazuna, and Amaterasu all shuffled into the living room to wait. 30 minutes later, you guys can come in now. Jinso called out. The now starving crowd charged into the kitchen, freezing in awe as they laid eyes on the table. A buffet of teriyaki, ramen, pocky, pasta, onigiri, cinnamon rolls, rice dishes, sushi, calamari, mozzarella, bruschetta, garlic bread, sweet sausage, and countless other mouthwatering meals were laid out before them. Jinso stood proudly, arms crossed. Holy crap, Sasuke blurted out, completely out of character. How the hell did you make all that? Tazuna asked, still in disbelief. Trade secret, Jinso replied with a smug nod. Everyone swarmed the table with eyes wide and mouths already watering. Tsunami called Inari downstairs before joining the others at the table. As everyone dug in, Inari slowly made his way into the room, dragging his feet. He took a seat, barely touching the food in front of him. You should eat something. I didn't spend all that time cooking just for you to sit there and poke at it, Jinso told him, voice calm but firm. Inari. I was once hailed as the prime deity, a title bestowed upon the supreme divine force whose strength surpassed all others, feared across all realms. It was the greatest distinction imaginable, but it bore a harrowing burden. Everyone I cherished eventually faded away, turned to dust on the wind, and I remained. Jinso clenched his fists, eyes burning with buried fury, then went on. Every single day, every damn sunrise. Each time I stared into the fucking mirror, I saw the same face staring back. For tens, hundreds, thousands of fucking years, the same damn reflection, mocking me. Laughing at my agony. Standing there in silence, taunting me, and I couldn't do a damn thing to change it. Days bled into WEKS, WEKS into MONTHS, MONTHS into years, YEARS into DECADS, DECADES into CNTORIS, and CNTORIS into fucking MILLNNIA. I never changed, not once. The very next day after I became this immortal thing, I tried to end IT, slid MYWRISDS, hung myself, even tried to lop off my own head, and none of IT fucking worked. His voice cracked as he looked down for a moment before continuing. You think you felt pain, boy? You know nothing of true despair. So your adopted father sacrificed himself to protect you and your home. Get in line. Jinso's eyes gleamed with raw hatred as he leaned in, his voice venomous with ancient rage. My birth father is dead. My mother gone. My sister, brother dead. NICES, NEPHEWS, UNCLES, ANTS, GRANDPRNTS, COUSINS, and their DESCNDNTS, all fucking gone. My entire bloodline died out 10,000 years ago. The last members of my family, RAPED and murdered by a deranged lunatic who broke out of prison and slaughtered everyone. You wanna talk about pain? If that's not suffering, then my whole existence is a lie. With that, Jinso turned on his heel, walking toward the door. He paused just before leaving. So tell me, brat, do you really want to live forever? He slammed the door behind him, the sound echoing in the heavy silence that followed. Sakura scoffed with a dismissive huff. Yeah, right. Like that's even possible. He probably used some kind of illusion and made up that sob story to sound cool, she said with a snide laugh, utterly clueless. Amaterasu and Naruto both shot daggers at her with their eyes, waves of intense killing intent rolling off them. Naruto's crimson eyes flashed, his pupils narrowing into feral slits. Without a word, he pulled the tanto from his back and sliced Sakura's tray and food in two, causing her to yelp and stumble back. You absolute moron. You dumb fangirl, my older brother wasn't lying for attention. Naruto roared, his voice shaking with rage. You don't know a damn thing about what he's endured. He snatched up the remaining snacks and bowl, turning toward the door. Sensei, me, my Nick-san, and my Ni-chan are heading out. Don't expect us back before morning. And with that, Naruto and Amaterasu walked out and slammed the door behind them. The room fell deathly still. Even Inari and Shino glared at Sakura in silent disapproval. Why's everyone mad at me? She asked, confused and shrinking under their stares. Kurenai sighed heavily. Sakura, that wasn't some illusion. Naruto's brother actually drove a blade into his own heart, she said somberly. Kakashi's lone visible eye.